Something you listened to in high school, I take it.
It's Jamie Kennedy.
Oh yeah, circle, circle, dot, dot.
Yeah. Same time frame.
With Stu Stone. I know.
You think that girl is hot?
I think I'd rather not.
All right. Okay. I'll fuck her anyway. Oh, a classic.
There used to be this free channel on cable called like CD Now or some shit. And that's like the first time I heard that song, they were on there performing. I'm like, that's fucking Jamie Kennedy.
It was great.
Boop, boop, boop. It's Malibu's Most Wanted.
Don't be hating.
Jesse, Chris.
You got my rolling acres.
Me. Yeah, you do. It's cute.
Thank you.
It's so cute. It's cute.
I don't like the feel.
You got on over there. Ricky?
Yeah.
Ricky!
I feel like Jesse needs
to sports. We got to talk about Hugh Jackson.
Zoomed more. What's going on?
We got to talk about Hugh. He went on a fucking tirade. Yeah, man. He was like freaking out on fans on Twitter. Went on 850 Cleveland today, and
they were making fun of him.
Yeah, he just got tired of it. Snapped.
Shit, you can pay me that much. You can make fun of me all you want.
Oh, dude, he was so mad. I tried to get him on the show. He didn't respond. He was responding to everybody. I was like, you got to get on my podcast and settle the score.
We won't tear you apart.
He was like, fuck those guys.
Fuck those.
I've heard them talk about me before.
Yo, he's the worst coach ever.
Jeez.
Oh, Hugh, you're welcome anytime.
I still like, I think he would, get me wrong. I think he was horrible, but he had nothing to work with on the same instance. I think like even if you brought like a top of the line coach in, they get maybe 3 wins.
That's what he said.
Yeah,
I was very upset.
I'm not fully blaming him. Sorry.
Are we recording?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
I'm not fully blaming him.
Spoilers.
Yeah, you're good.
He didn't say any of that. Tune in for more on the sports segment.
I can always chop it out. All right, we ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Highlights of the news. Traffic accident. Beaver County man being held for murder. It's more later.
What's going on, y'all? You're tuning in to the highest rated, most listened to podcast to ever grace the airwaves, and you're a better person for listening to us.
Finish it.
All right, maybe not, but you're really going to enjoy it anyways. This is Made to Motivate podcast, and we'll be talking social media hot topics, pop culture news, the greatest in movies and music, and all things sports. Make sure you're following us on social media at Made to Motivate podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and you can watch the show on our YouTube. Thanks for tuning in, and with that being said, let's get this show started. Yes, sir.
Jose Cuervo and Espelon Tequila Blanco are not sponsors of Made to Motivate podcast or not affiliated in any way.
You showed all of the ingredients for this but one.
The ice?
Yeah. No, well, no, you didn't.
The spoon?
Yeah.
Yeah. We should have had him chug the freaking margarita mix. That wouldn't have been as bad.
This is the tasty spoon I use to mix the drinks, including Chris's after I apparently licked it and didn't realize it.
Guy gets a vaccine and all of a sudden nobody gives a shit what happens to him anymore. Whoops.
We're really close as hosts.
What is up, folks of the airwaves, listeners on the YouTube and the Spotify and all that fun stuff? This is Made to Motivate podcast, season 4, episode 11. This is your host, Ryan Weiss. I am joined, as always, by Mr. Jesse Unk.
What's going on?
What are you doing over there to the camera?
I thought it was a hair, but it's just like a little strand off of your phone case cover. I was going to pull it off because it's bugging me.
Looking everything up over there.
I don't leave random strings
Chris?
lying around.
For Ace Ventura Kessinger. That was a really good close-up.
Thank you.
What is going on, guys? What is new and exciting since we gathered in the studio last week? Done anything? How does that work?
Yeah, that's how
It's got to be a metal spoon.
Really? I think.
Done anything fun and exciting since last week, Jesse?
I'm on spring break.
Oh, spring breaker.
Spring
Going
break.
to Miami?
No, I got a good little weekend.
Yeah.
I had a kid named Jalen. I won't say his last name because students.
Martinez.
But
Hurts.
Jalen was talking big shit this week.
Ooh, shit talker.
He was talking about, because we had a cookout. Decided at the last second, I was like, we should do a cookout. You know, these kids did really good with their marketing class, and spring break's coming up. We haven't been able to do anything all year for COVID. Like, we'll make sure it's safe. Let's get the cookout going. As soon as the kids hear that, this dude, me and him go back all year, going back and forth. And he's all right. He just talks too much, you know?
Yeah.
And he's like, Unk, I'm going to beat your ass in basketball. You fucking suck. Like he's saying all this shit, right? Yeah, that's how my kids talk. Whatever.
Coming out with
Barberton's a little tough.
Yeah, I don't like Barberton.
So I'm like, because I don't take that shit, you know?
Yeah.
I start baking the fuck out of them.
Jesse don't take shit from no
There's like
one.
2 other kids in there, and I'm like, dude, I suck at basketball, and I will still destroy you. I'll put the clamps on you. You won't score 1 point. Like all the kids are like, Unk's on your fucking neck, dog. Like he's super embarrassed. So the day comes, and I was like, and I don't want to hear nothing about the bus broke down. You couldn't get a ride. Like I'm just calling him out, like, because this kid's not gonna beat me. I'm not good at basketball. But these kids don't play defense. Kids these days don't play defense. They shoot open shots. They think that they're good, and they're really not. And I've never once in the years of being at the school found somebody that's good at basketball. So I'm like, I'll bet on myself.
Yeah.
So we make a little bet, whatever. Bet doesn't matter. It wasn't a big deal. And the day comes. I'm outside cooking because I do all the grill stuff and everything. I pop my head in the gym, and there's another kid named Tyshawn. I'm like, hey, Tyshawn, is Jalen here? He's like, nah, Mr. Unk, he ain't here. I go, I knew he wasn't going to show up.
Dang.
I turn my head through the door, and in comes Jalen, full dress, like black and green shorts, shirt, Nikes on. He's got the green do-rag on. Like he's like all like
Dude
looking
wasn't
fresh
playing.
for the game. He's got his own ball under his arm, and he's just like, where the fuck is Unk at? So now it's on. Like there's like 20 kids there, and he's like, I want to play 3-on-3. It's me, my boy
3-on-3.
Collie. Yeah, he's like me, my boy Collie, and I don't remember who else he picked. Some other kid.
Don't drag friends down with
And,
you. You're getting this ass whooping alone.
I go, that's fine.
1-on-1.
I go, all that matters. I go, you can get all the help you want, but you won't score a single point. So I go and I get my buddy Dan, and we get one of our
Another teacher.
Yeah, another teacher. He's our social studies teacher. And then we get one of our like student liaisons. He's the guy who like does all the intakes and does some counseling stuff with kids and everything. His name's Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson has a shot. Like this dude
I wasn't going where I thought it
does
was.
not miss.
Johnson.
Dude doesn't miss. Dan and I can't shoot for nothing, but we're hustle guys, you know, and we just
Mhm.
figure they won't score. So I'm like, Johnson, you're going to score all the points, like whatever. As soon as we start, Jalen wants the ball. He's trying to do all this fancy dribbling and all this other shit. And I'm just standing there because like you're going side to side. You're not going forward, you know?
Tire yourself out too.
And he finally goes in to make the break. And I palm the ball. Wasn't a block. It would have been a jump ball, but I palm the ball. He goes up and falls on the ground and looks over, and he's like trying to call for a foul. Because
I knew it.
we got our assistant coach of McKinley who's at our building too. And he's like, that's clean. So I walk over to him and I step over him and
Do the old
and
AI.
I go, that's one.
Tyronn
So-
Lue.
By the end of the day, long story short, Jalen doesn't score a single point. I scored twice, which is saying a lot for me. Blocked his shot twice and just dominated him. He was very embarrassed. So that was fun. Cookout was fun. And then I went out to Indiana for an early Easter with my family, and that was just good family time. So it's off to a great start.
You're how old now?
29.
Wow, one more.
I know.
Good times. You cook anything good? Just hot dogs and hamburgers, the basics.
I mean, I made pulled pork
Okay.
because the whole reason I wanted to do it was because the Spanish students that I have had never tried any American barbecue.
Yeah.
Like every time I told them barbacoa, because that's how it translates. Like there's no word for American barbecue.
Yeah.
So they'd never had that. And I was like, I'll make some of that and we'll see what you think. They all thought it was really good. So got a lot of compliments on that.
Nice.
That's dope.
Everything else was like Sam's Club
Yeah.
in bulk, like 70% burger. And the hot dogs were good. Those were Hebrew Nationals. Whoever bought those went all out. My boy Frank bought them.
I need some Nathans.
Yeah,
Nathans are
hot
good.
dogs.
Yeah, Nathan's are badass. A little cheese inside.
Ooh. Christopher, what did you do since we saw each other last?
I made love to some sweet waffles, man.
Did you?
I did.
What else do you make love to?
Extra whipped cream.
Some, banana cream.
Oh,
I'm not gonna lie. His waffle did kind of look like it got a happy ending.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wally waffle?
Yeah.
Was it the whip or the
Yeah, it was whipped
what is
cre-
it? It's like a whip or a drizzle or something like that.
Well, it's whipped cream, but it's also banana custard.
You got banana custard
inside of it. So yeah, and that's really good. Hey,
Their honey butter looks like that. That's what I was trying to think of. I got their honey butter last time, and it was like it's Looks like splooge.
If it was one of those. But
Wally Waff.
did that. Fucking finally made it through that dreadful season 11 of Saturday Night Live. I've been on a huge marathon.
How many episodes are in a season?
All the seasons. Well, it varies, but like anywhere between, I've seen as low as 13 and as many as 22.
How many was that?
Well, the season 11, which is the worst fucking season ever, thankfully only had 16 because there was a writer's strike. But God, it's miserable. But other than that, I didn't really do much this weekend. Just kind of gearing up for a busy week coming up. We're taking our co-host over here out for his birthday tomorrow.
Right.
The challenge is to eat 100 wings between the three of us. And
No problem.
It doesn't sound like a lot, but I don't know, man.
well, because the thing is, if you split them, it's like 33, 33, 34.
I'm going to have 20.
Right.
You each are going to have 40.
If he doesn't get his 33 in, that falls on us. So
It's gotta be
to be
rough.
fair, I was keeping up with the shrimp, but I got screwed on my orders.
yeah.
You started with the most.
And then they never came.
Just saying.
Oh, whatever.
Ernie,
bro.
get me a beer.
Jeez.
Usually Quaker Steak is a little bit quicker though. If you tell them like, hey, I need this in on the next one, because they already have the wings. They just got to toss them.
They do a full order and then they do 4.
Yeah.
I like the Canton one, but my favorite location's always been the Valley View one.
I've never been to that one.
They have a great buffet
I've
during
been
the
there.
lunchtime
Yeah.
hours. So good. But
Yeah.
that's it.
What's your favorite wing sauce that they have?
Oh,
There's
Arizona Ranch.
26. Is it?
Arizona Ranch,
I don't-
100%,
I
man.
don't like ranch.
Arizona Ranch and then Buckeye Barbecue.
Okay. That's my third or fourth. Louisiana Liquors is my second.
Yeah, Louisiana liquor's good, but sometimes they don't put enough on.
Yeah.
You either get a ton and it's perfect, or it's like skimped out, and it's always either one or the other.
What's your favorite?
Parmesan pepper,
Yeah.
Mm.
Parmesan pepper, Buckeye barbecue, and Louisiana liquor are my
Yeah.
go-tos.
Do you guys do dry rubs?
Dusted Chipotle barbecue is
I
delicious.
can't do that. See, it dries my mouth out too much, man.
Yeah, I don't like dry rubs at all. I
Yeah.
got to do sauce.
You know what I miss that they used to have? They used to have funnel cake fries.
Yes.
I would be
Oh.
so
Yes.
full, and then I'd go over there and get a plate of funnel cake fries, and I would make sure those things went down, man. They're so
Yes.
good.
And those were, like I said, they were on the buffets, which were
Mhm.
like, they had everything. I mean, even stuff that you didn't even think the restaurant served. They had like
Yeah.
pizza, all kinds of weird shit.
Nachos.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because they wanted you to fill up on that shit.
That's
Mr.
true.
Hero has funnel cake fries.
Do they?
They're good.
Are they all you can eat funnel cake fries?
Well, no, you got to order
Yeah.
a fucking.
I used to empty that fucking thing out. They'd be pissed.
Yeah.
Do you guys have bad experiences with Mr. Hero?
Have I had bad experiences? I honestly never ate there until we had it on the show like a year or so ago.
Okay.
And I mean, I've had it probably a handful of times total ever, but I've never had a bad experience.
I was just thinking with like wait time, because I go to the one, obviously it's over by my house on Arlington
Yeah.
all the time, and I have never waited probably fewer than 10 minutes for
Yeah.
one sandwich.
Yeah.
Never had it. I've been meaning to get it.
Never
and
had Mr. Hero?
I want to get it fresh if I'm going to get it, not DoorDash it.
Yeah.
But I've been considering like for weeks. I
It's
just haven't gotten to it.
You weren't here when we ordered it on the show, or you just
Mhm.
didn't get it when we ordered it on the show?
I think I ate that day.
Yeah.
Who was here? Because I wasn't here in that week.
Me, Nick, and Jesse. I think it was just the 3 of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was dude. The Roman burger slaps.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I ate on the way home from work.
Yeah.
But
Burger's good.
another DoorDash thing, Long John Silver's is no longer delivered to my location.
Long John Silver's is trash. So who
Dude,
cares?
Arthur Treacher's isn't on there.
Yeah.
Arthur Treacher's is way
And Long
better
John
than
Silver's
Arthur.
is not trash. It's very salty. I will say that's very
It's
fucking
extremely salty, and outside of salt, it's bland.
No,
It's not
You can't have
good.
bland food that's over salted. It's just
If you
salty.
took away the salt, it'd be nothing. There's
Yeah.
there's not a good.
I got Arthur Treacher's today. It's definitely superb.
I was gonna say, let's be honest, the 3 of us are picking Arthur Treacher's over.
Yeah.
so good.
But if I can't get Arthur Treacher's on DoorDash and I don't want to go anywhere, Long John's is a serviceable.
Bro, you should have brought some hush puppies over.
Yeah, this guy would have.
I will say this.
Hush puppies.
I think that Long John's has better hush puppies.
Shut the fuck.
Ooh.
Dude,
up.
the hush puppy I got from Arthur Treacher's today was like, so I bit it and it was just like, like it shattered. It was way too overcooked. I've never had a bad hush puppy from Long John's. And Long John's gives you way more of the crumblies in the bottom of the basket too.
This dude's awesome.
Oh, he always wants the extras.
This guy's
Dude, the
great.
Krispies are the best.
He's great at breaking your heart, dude.
Right.
He tells me when he gets back from fucking North Carolina, he goes, "Look, I had Bojangles, but it kind of fucking sucks."
It wasn't that good.
What did we have when we went to Florida? Was it Bojangles?
Oh, we had everything when we went to Florida.
Well-
we had Bojangles, we had Zaxby's, we had
Did we?
we had Zaxby's in Orlando. We had
Oh,
Bojangles on the way. No, we didn't go on the way down. We were just in Florida.
yeah. We went out that one.
Maybe it
night and
wasn't
got
Bojangles.
something.
We got 2 though. Maybe it was Zaxby's and Cane's.
Oh,
I think it was Zaxby's and Cane's because there wasn't a Cane's in Canton at
Okay.
that point. Or it was new
I
and we
remember
hadn't
wherever
had it in a while.
I remember wherever we went, I just wasn't super thrilled with it, and I couldn't remember which one it was. If it was Zaxby's or Jangles,
You
but
fucking guys.
dude, sorry.
Cane's has the best sauce,
Yes,
but none of them are better than Popeyes.
sauce is so good.
I agree with that.
And I'm not going to wait in line for that Cane's. Like they're putting that Raising Cane's where Eaton Park used to be at Chapel Hill.
Yeah.
Sign
I'm
me
never
up.
going to go up there.
Oh, I'll be there.
That's a big
No.
It's quicker. It's closer than the Canton one,
Where
so
you
I'll
turn
be
left
there.
into that fucking plaza right there is going to be all the way out onto fucking Howe Avenue.
I mean, that's Cane's regardless of anywhere. Chick-fil-A is just as bad.
but Chick-fil-A is efficient. Cane's is like
Yeah,
Popeye's service.
that's
Like,
true.
we'll get to them when we get to
What do they
'em."
say? What's kicking? Let me get you some chicken or something. What do they say when you order there? They have like a rhyme thing that they say to you every time you come. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
I've only been there twice.
And
I like Cane's.
you know the reason? Because nobody wants to wait 3 hours for that.
That's true.
At least at
Jeez.
Popeyes, like I know their service is bad, and I'm gonna but it's gonna be fresh. It's gonna be good.
I DoorDash that bitch.
Popeyes?
Yeah, but it's like 75
Do you
minutes.
do it a
though,
day in
when you do
advance?
it. It's legit like 75 minutes every time I go on there.
Yep, let him wait. I'm not waiting.
Right.
I mean, that's true.
Well, except for the one time I DoorDashed it not long ago and I waited 45 minutes and then I got the message, sorry, we can't fulfill your order. I was so pissed.
Fuck you.
I was so pissed. I'm like, it's been an hour.
What do you
I'm
guys
waiting
get
for
there?
food for an hour.
You guys get tendies or do you get actual chicken?
The spicy chicken sandwich and then mashed potatoes and the Cajun gravy or whatever.
I have 2 orders. I'll get the spicy chicken sandwich sometimes and just like an order of Cajun fries, or I'll get the tendies, like what's the new ones they have, like the kickin' chicken or something.
The rippin' chicken?
Rippin' chicken.
Yeah,
Yeah.
rippin' chicken's good.
I get that with just like, mashed potatoes or mac and cheese.
Mm.
I always get 5 spicy tendies with sweet heat and barbecue,
Yes, sweet
fries,
heat's
and an
good.
extra biscuit.
Yeah, their biscuits are good too.
Biscuits are delicious.
Yum.
And then I get a sweet tea. I don't like their sandwich. Another
I like
like
sweet tea.
crazed thing that I think is meh.
I like the sauce.
It's huge, but it is bland.
I think Church's is better. I still say that, but
I haven't had that one yet because that's newer, right? That they just
Yeah.
released a chicken sandwich. I haven't had
McDonald's
that one
new
yet.
chicken sandwich is not good either.
I was going to say, how is it different than their other chicken sandwiches they already had?
The chicken's different. It's like, no, it is.
McDonald's.
It's
I mean,
microwaved.
they used to do.
one's microwave 45 seconds and one's microwave for 30
No,
seconds.
do you remember?
It's Cajun.
Do you remember their? So everybody knows their McChicken. It's that
Yeah.
shitty little ground chicken patty.
Yeah.
This is like an actual chicken breast,
Like the chicken sandwiches they already have.
but it's like brined in like pickle stuff. It's like a Southern style. They used to have it on a biscuit for breakfast, and then they got rid of it. You can only get it in the South.
It's just weird because they added 3 new chicken sandwiches.
Yeah.
Like there's like a spicy, a regular, and a homestyle. You
Oh,
don't
I
need
didn't
that
know.
many chicken sandwiches.
the homestyle?
They're trying to compete with like a Popeyes or something.
Yeah,
but
they're not going to. It's awful.
when you already had 3 chicken sandwiches on your menu, you don't need to add 3 more.
Yeah. What's the homestyle one? I
Just
had the-
regular, like homestyle is like a regular crispy chicken. Then they added like a spicy chicken,
Had
and then
both
there's
of those.
and then there's one other one too. Because I remember seeing on a picture there was like 3, and
Was
they're
that
smaller.
a McChicken?
Maybe I don't know.
I don't know.
I haven't tried them, but
Bring back the Arch Deluxe.
We never did our chicken
Yeah.
road trip.
we need to still do it.
That's what we were saying the other day. We're gonna get that going.
Yeah, it's just now getting warm. We just got to plot it out.
Yeah.
I told him
Make it happen.
I'll get a Tesla and we'll go.
No, we got to rent a little mini camper so that we can
Yeah.
just sleep in it and just drive.
A Tesla camper that will drive for us.
That would
so
be
that we can kick
fantastic.
it.
That would be dope. Jeez.
Okay, well that's enough of an
All
intro.
right. Yeah, I was gonna say. Well, no, but I got a question before we get into the show,
Okay.
and I don't even know how you answer this question.
I'll go
but-
out with you.
17.
Thank you. If you walked into a room with every person you ever met in your life, who's the one person you would seek out to talk to?
Alive and dead?
Anybody you've met in your lifetime. It can be a famous person you met. It can be someone you met online. It could be a family member. You walk into a room with any person that you've personally met face to face, not online.
Not like that I've just seen.
Right.
Had to have actually spoken to
You
them.
had to have some sort of interaction with them in person. Who would you seek out first to talk to?
That's a good question.
That is a good question.
Oh man, I don't know.
That's tough, huh?
Bill Hader.
Bill Hader?
Bill Hader.
Oh, yeah?
you met Bill Hader.
I met him too.
I ran into him literally, and we had a brief set of words, but he just seems like an interesting, fun, and very nice person.
I met him at the train wreck premiere,
Yeah.
and he was super cool.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
That's where I ran into him.
Yeah,
I
he was awesome.
I was hosting it, or not. We were
You were-
hosting it,
yeah.
but
That's why I always think's awesome. Like, I think you were working at the theater when that happened, and then
Yeah.
he's outside photographing it. And like, I don't
Yeah.
think you guys even knew each other at that point.
not really. We knew of each
Like,
other, but we weren't
yeah.
like friends.
I don't know,
Bill
Ryan.
Hader. Wow, that's
Yeah.
says a lot.
I don't know, because I wouldn't pick anybody that I know now, like that I'm really close. Like, no offense, I wouldn't pick you guys.
Right,
just
I wouldn't
because
either.
We
We're-
we talk to each other every fucking minute of the day.
Right.
What's up, dude? I'll see you next week at the fucking
Right.
podcast.
Right. So it would be somebody obviously who's either dead or somebody who I've cut off contact with, who I wish I was still close to.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. There's so many that I would choose. And like celebrity wise, I've met a lot, but there's nobody that, like, if I met Haley Steinfeld, I would say, well, yeah, fuck, I want a dinner with Haley Steinfeld right now. But I've never met her. I
That was
don't
me with LeBron. I've only ever like taken his orders. That doesn't count as a meeting.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to meet him again because I did on the court and that was a fucking nightmare.
Oh, okay.
So I don't
That's
ever
fair.
I don't ever want to meet him again. I don't know, dude. I'll have to get back to you on that. Let me think about it throughout the show.
Who would you choose?
That's fair. I honestly, I don't know. I just was like, this would be an interesting question just to see, because it's like, would you want it to be somebody that passed away that you'd like to be able to have a conversation with again?
Yeah.
Do you want it to be someone that like you met that you'd like to have a further, like a Bill Hader? You met
Yeah.
him, but you could sit down in a room with him and actually like digest the conversation. You
Yeah.
know, that's, I don't know. It'd be really hard.
Question, is it one-off conversation? Like I never hear from them again after we're done and it's just, that's it?
Yeah. Like you have this opportunity to talk to that person and then that's it. Unless it's obviously someone that's in your day-to-day life. But if you pick a Bill
Right.
Hader who's not a part of your life, then that's it. I mean, you know, if it's somebody you met one time only and you have a chance to re-talk to them again, then they go about their life and that's it.
I'll reserve my answer for later.
All right, that's fair. And I honestly don't know. That's because like to Chris's point, like there'd be so many people that it'd be cool to have a deeper, in-depth conversation with. But
Yeah, there's no like superstars that I've ever actually met. They're
Yeah.
people who I've talked to in passing, like they're Browns players that I was like, hey, and they talked to me real quick and stuff, but like
Right.
never like a meeting. But I met Bill Hader
yeah,
and like, I don't know, like it's better than Leslie Mann and it's better than Judd Apatow.
I would love
Yeah.
to meet Bill Hader. He's one of my
Yeah.
favorite SNL cast members of all time.
He's just super funny and fun, and like I don't have a lot of people that are close to me that have passed away,
yeah,
and the ones that are were like recent enough that it wouldn't be like there's nothing really to catch up on. It'd be
Right.
like, hey man,
so
still doing the same shit.
Right.
Like, so
That's cool.
yeah.
All right. Well, where do we want to start the show? What are we most excited about this week?
I
It
was
is July 20th, 1969, and man is about to land on the moon.
Freedom itself was attacked this morning by a faceless coward, and freedom will be defended.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
That's the way the news goes. That was a fantastic George Bush impersonation. You did
Was
over
it?
There, yeah.
Yeah, good. I'm glad. I was meaning to ask you for like weeks, and I always forget because it's right in the middle of the fucking segment.
strategic.
The beginning of the show, the new intro that we do.
Mhm.
What is that audio from?
I don't know. I'd have to go back and listen to it now. It's one of those things like I listen to it so often that I don't even remember.
It's like
what
it is
is.
July 21st and
The very beginning of Let's Get Social or
no,
our
our
intro
whole
to-
show.
Oh, it was a song I used in like one of the vlogs, and I just like to talk about like
Oh.
the news and stuff. So I just
Okay.
plugged it in there. I don't know what it's. I think it's just something like a beat or audio mix that somebody made up.
Gotcha.
I used it on one of our 27 Squared shows, and I just liked the way it sounded. So
So it's plagiarism.
sure,
Yeah.
from
It's-
27 Squared. No, I got it from a royalty-free site. I get all of our audio from royalty-free sites
Yeah.
from SoundCloud, so it's not plagiarism. Let's Get Social. So I didn't choose this because I'm most excited about it, but we didn't really know what we wanted to do, so why not?
We have the most for it.
Yeah, we do have a lot.
Yeah.
I'd say a pretty big development is the George Floyd, Derek Chauvin case finally started.
Yep.
So they had charged him and they've been working on finding jury and all that kind of sort of thing. But today they actually started doing opening remarks and discussing the case moving forward. And it'd be a year in May or June.
Wow.
Right?
May.
May.
Yeah.
So we're coming up right on a year mark, and now they're finally just making some progress, which is crazy. I haven't watched any of it yet, But what's that?
Why do you think that they were able to get that going? Because like Ahmaud Arbery's was in February of last year, and that's still like trying to find jury members and shit.
Maybe more decisive evidence or something, or the amount of traction that case got, people pushing for it.
Yeah, it's one thing that's
Ahmaud
always
still
bugged me.
needs-
Like you have the right to a fair and speedy trial, but it's like it's been over a fucking year.
Right.
Like,
what do you guys think is going to come of it? They did what? Second degree manslaughter? Is that what second degree murder?
yes.
Those were the initial charges, at least as far as I remember.
Yeah, because I remember
Yeah.
when we broke it down last year, we went over like what they could possibly charge him with. We talked about what
I don't
the
think it's
different degrees
manslaughter.
meant.
I think it's second degree
Second
murder.
degree
now.
murder. Yeah.
I think it initially was manslaughter.
Because we were trying to determine if we thought he would get first or second.
Yeah.
And when we broke down the different meanings of what they were, we didn't think he would do first. I think we all
First
agreed
is a
that probably
premeditated decision,
right.
in which case it would not have been.
You can't prove that. That's hard to,
Right.
you know.
Oh yeah.
In his case. So, I mean, but that's good that it's going somewhere. Hopefully he is in fact charged and something becomes of it.
Yeah.
And the family gets some kind of closure. They settled that giant lawsuit with Minneapolis.
Yeah.
16 million
God
or
damn,
something.
yeah.
Yeah.
So at least the city in itself took blame for their part in it. I'm assuming for which having him as still an officer, even though he had so many incidents previously, and he should have been discharged probably.
Mhm.
So I'm assuming that was what they settled on.
So that kind of thing, like when the city kind of owns up to it and takes that kind of like payout, like I don't know how that reflects the case, but to me that kind of looks like a bad stain, you know,
I
like
agree.
in terms of like, well, they've already admitted that, you know, they were wrong in it. They've
Yep.
already admitted that a lot of fault was on their doorstep. So why would the court case be any different?
Jesse made that exact point. So when it got announced that they had filed that lawsuit and that they got the money from it, I remember in the group conversation we were talking about, and Jesse asked what they were claiming guilt for.
Mhm.
And I think that exact same point, like if the city settled for $16 million and accepted guilt for their point, then I don't know how you could then go on and say that Derek Chauvin wasn't guilty of something.
Yeah.
Don't know if it's going to be second degree murder, but he's definitely guilty of something. You can't not.
Where does that money
So-
come from? Is that taxpayer money?
Just budget. I would.
Probably drug money.
Like I wonder what that
I honestly
is.
don't
Like,
know how that works.
just think about if it happened in Akron.
Mm-hmm.
Akron doesn't have $16 million to pay out to some
Right.
family for a wrongful death suit. Like
I
would,
don't know.
that would fuck a bunch of stuff.
Does the city have some kind of insurance policy against things like that where it would be a claim? Like, that's a good question, honestly.
And
Where do you get the money from to pay that?
Because I'd be pissed if it was taxpayer dollars. Like it's not on
And we're
us.
paying
That's on fucking you.
Right.
Floyd's family was probably asking for more. That's just the median at what they, agreed to. I can imagine.
Mhm.
I can't imagine that like 16 was just the figure off the top of the head.
Oh no,
Sure.
that was the settlement amount for
Yeah.
sure. How do you even put a price on it anyways?
Yeah.
Like 16 million is great. That family's set for life. They don't have to work or worry about anything, but
Yeah.
it doesn't rectify the situation. But that is a good point. I wonder where, if you're listening to this and comment, put on our page. We'll have to look into it because it's a really good point. If you got to think like cases like this in bigger cities and stuff happen often, who's funding the money?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Are
if
you
it's
looking it up, Chris?
Yeah.
if it's some sort of government relief or what, but anyway, so forward progress there. That's good. Hopefully something comes of Ahmaud Arbery. I know, what was the lady?
Breonna
Taylor. I know they were working on that. He got dismissed.
That
The boyfriend-
also had a settlement.
yeah, the boyfriend got
remember how much.
dismissed, I think. They
Yeah, because they fucked up.
Yeah, they had said that he was no longer being held for any of that stuff. So that's a big deal too.
Yeah, his charges were dropped, but
Let's make progress, That's all. We need some forward progress. So that's cool. Suez Canal got opened up today.
the memes are great.
Yeah.
Did you see the one with Austin Powers, but they turned it into the tanker?
Oh,
and he's just like
going back and forth. Yeah.
Who
How does that happen?
right. That's what I was gonna say. Who's held accountable for something like that? When you ground the ship, is the captain gonna be held accountable
it wasn't
for delays and the financial burden?
wasn't
and
his
stuff?
fault. Like there was a giant sandstorm and incredibly high winds that blew the tanker sideways.
Okay.
So
Dude,
It ended up getting, it got lodged in the front and the other one got lodged in the back. And they had 10 tugboats out there on both sides trying to just like
crank it
and couldn't fucking do it. So they ended up having to wait for like the king tide or the high tide or whatever the hell they call it. And that gave them like a little bit more leverage because they finally got it out today.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's why a lot of shipwreck ships, they just like kind of abandon and that kind of stuff happens.
How the fuck do you have wind strong enough to, I mean, that ship is giant.
You got to think
to
so.
Blow a ship like that.
That thing's so fucking tall. All that
like
wind hits it. It's just like, it's like a sail.
And we just went through like a global, I almost want to say record of winds over the last week. I mean, it has been terrifying.
I have limbs down in my fucking yard, guys.
We had 63 mile an hour winds.
Jesse's living a rough life.
It was terrible. I had just cleaned the sticks up out of that yard.
But I was kind of curious who would be held accountable for that. I mean, because you got to think delays and things that people are going to file claims against.
Sure.
There's going to be financial issues and things. Is it just?
Well, did you see how much money daily was being lost?
I can't imagine.
$6 billion.
Okay, so to my point, someone's held accountable.
It's like 17% of the world's goods go through that canal, and they were all backed up.
Why can't they just claim it as an act of God, like insurance companies say?
It's just the products and everything. Because they were talking about how like one of the major products that goes through there was like toilet paper, and people were like, "Well, fuck, we're not going to be toilet paper again." Like, they ended up sending hundreds of ships around Africa because they thought that it would be quicker to sail all the way around Africa than it would be to wait for them to get that ship out.
That's insane,
man.
That's why my Amazon packages were a day delayed. Some bullshit.
I'm not going to get any of my shit from DH Gate now. My fake Kobe Bryant jersey will never get here.
Nope.
Hashtag first world problems.
Jesus. Another thing that came out this week was Lil Nas X and his Nike Air Max collab that were like Satan themed, I guess. There's a gold pentagram charm that hangs off like the tongue.
It's like people in hell inside the box holding the shoe up.
Jeez, I didn't see that.
And then apparently there's actually like a drop of real human blood in them.
In the coloring, yeah.
What?
There's it's like 60 cc's of red, whatever, and then 1 drop of human blood. I hope it's his.
Right.
It's nice we get confirmation on how this dude got famous because I hate that fucking song.
Yeah. But I find that interesting because now obviously Nike's getting backlash because most people don't read into articles and they see Lil Nas X has got a Satan shoe coming out and they assume Nike has something to do with it. But it's actually a mashup that he did with an artist called
Lucifer.
Mischief, I think is his name, maybe. I mean, it could be an artist. I think his name's Mischief or something like that. But it's a collab that they did together. It is not endorsed by Nike. It's nothing affiliated with Nike. They've come out and said they don't endorse it or agree with it or anything like that. But
I'd be pissed if I was Nike.
Right.
Because that type of thing costs you like
a lot of reputation.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering what the rules are with that because they're using a Nike shoe.
Yeah.
And we know people do like.
You're not selling it though. I can do whatever I want.
That's true.
Can you though? If it negatively impacts their image?
Yes, because it's not like the sale is the point. Like that's the thing with so like you can steal movies. It's the second you start selling them that is the problem. That's where you can legally be held responsible.
Really?
Yeah, like I can go out and I can take any of your artwork and do whatever I want to do to it. As long as I'm not selling it or saying you endorsed it or putting your name to it in any way, you can't do anything.
Really?
Yeah.
You could take like one of my drawings and put your name on it and whatever, and post it online, and you couldn't get in trouble for that.
As long as I'm not profiting from, so I couldn't use it to be like the sports scholar or anything like that and put that on my page because I'm making money from those things. But if I just put up like, if I put it on my wall and I took a picture and was like my new artwork, if I had an entire line of artwork and I didn't sell any of it, and it was just me repurposing other people's artwork, you can't do anything for me with that. I could do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And if you sell something to me, I can do whatever I want to do with it. That's something else. That's a law. You cannot.
What do you mean by that?
As soon as a person purchases something from you, so in this case, Nike shoes, you have the right to do with whatever you want to that product.
Oh, so like if you bought like a sticker from me, you could cut that sticker up and make it into something.
Yeah, right.
Oh, okay, that I get. Yeah.
But there have been lawsuits in the past where people took like major items like that and then repurposed them in ways. And I think they even sold it, but they changed the complete purpose of it. And there was nothing they can do. I just read about it the other day. I'd have to look back at what it was exactly. But
those are ugly fucking shoes too.
These are my Asics, so they're not meant for style. These are for comfort.
Dad shoes 2.0. I'm curious though. Like I get what you're saying. Where like technically they can't, but I wonder if Nike went after them if they could win something or like get them to. I don't know.
I don't see.
I don't know. It just seems like it negatively impacts their brand and their name because people affiliate it with them, even though they didn't endorse it.
The thing is though, has Lil Nas X ever called it like the Nike Satan shoes or anything like that? Like the Nike whatever it is.
I mean, I would put the most of the blame of that to the media.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, not him. I don't know if he's come out and said that, but yeah, I mean,
we'll go after the media then, right, for mislabeling it.
And you can't sue somebody off of the general public's assumptions.
Perception of it. Yeah, that's fair. Interesting though.
Would you buy them?
And they're one, that's one of my least favorite style of Air Max. They're awful. I call them the grandpa shoe. And no, I don't like Lil Nas. I am not religious. I have no desire to own anything satanic. That's a hard pass for me.
Is a grandpa shoe better than a father shoe or whatever you call Jesse? Dad shoes. Yeah.
I don't mind.
These are comfy.
I'd probably wear the Air Max over those.
I hope you had the camera on at that point.
Are those Asics?
They're Asics.
Asics
are a comfortable running shoe.
I think I would rock the Air Max over the
Asics. If you would like to sponsor my show, you are welcome to. I will rock you all the time.
Jesse needs the New Balance.
Dude, I wore my Asics all through like these are my track shoes and shit, man. They're comfortable. Yeah. They're quality shoes. They're not stylish. They're meant for comfort and performance.
That's a dad shoe.
They're good enough for George Banks from Father of the Bride.
There you go. Jeez. Last thing I've got for Let's Get Social is kind of up for just conversation and debate. So two big named celebrities had members of their inner circle, I guess you would call it, injured fairly recently, due to activities outside of their initial influence, or they weren't involved in it. But we had Lady Gaga's dog walker. Her dogs were stolen, and the dog walker was actually shot and hospitalized.
Jesus.
And then I don't follow the Kardashians, so I could be wrong with the name. I think it was Kim Kardashian. What are the other ones?
Chloe,
Courtney.
One of the sisters, one of them. I'm going to say Kim just because that's the one I know. But one of the sisters' makeup artists, like that they use for all of their stuff, was in like a terrible car accident and basically like on their deathbed. And
how was that like tied to them though? Was she like on the way to do their makeup?
It's just her makeup artist. I don't know if she was involved in anything like leaving, going to, or whatever. But
that's kind of a good question though.
Yeah, of course.
Let's address that in a minute.
What I get to, yeah.
Yeah.
So when both of these things happened, a big conversation online was what financial responsibility or obligation should Lady Gaga or Kim Kardashian have to these employers of theirs because of their financial status and the money that they have. What as a perception of our own should they be responsible? Okay, so if the dog walker's medical bill was $100,000 and Lady Gaga gave $5,000, is that substantial enough?
None. Vote for free healthcare. Vote for Bernie Sanders.
Get the fuck out of here. In the case of Kim Kardashian's makeup artist, there was a GoFundMe started, and I know that she gave $5,000.
Yeah,
and people were saying she's a multi-billionaire. She could cover that whole bill. What do you guys think? Do you have any obligation? Is there a substantial amount that you think that they should give? And what do you think the public's perception of the way that they respond to something like that? What is your thoughts on that?
My first question is I have to borrow what Jesse asked, and that's that. So this dog walker, was it shot or whatever out while walking?
Yeah, well, yeah, because her dogs were stolen.
Okay,
the dog walker was walking Lady Gaga's dogs at the time that they were stolen and he was shot.
So that's one. The other one, was she on the way towards? He was on the way.
I don't know if they were previously engaged in makeup at the time. I don't know. I know
And-
Lady Gaga won for sure because the dogs got stolen during the interaction.
Was that accident his fault? That's another important question.
Okay. I don't know. Let's say hypothetically. So let's do two things. Let's start with Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
Because we know the details. Her dog, he was at the time, he was gauged in employed activity for Lady Gaga when he was shot and her dogs were stolen.
I think so. I really do. That's a different case. The other one, it sounds like, wasn't involved in the act of on the way to Kim, whatever, Kim, Courtney, wasn't on the way to. This one is in the act. Like, I'm walking your dogs and I just risked my life every time I step out. Now, granted, I know the responsibilities. Like, I know the fear that I could get shot, killed, hit by an airplane at any point of the day, but
right,
I'm kind of in your care while I'm doing it. You know, like I'm in your possession.
Jesse?
I think this is where contracts come into play. If you work at a bank, you know that you're going to get some kind of insurance pay if you are robbed or shot or something like that. As a teacher, we have workers' comp. I'm sure you have workers' comp. If you're injured on a job, you know, whatever, but you know that going into it. If you don't sign something like that, you know the high profile person that you're working for. I think that's something that you got to have some foresight for in terms of obligation.
So, and we briefly talked about this last year when the UPS driver was shot and murdered while driving for UPS.
Yes.
And I think we argued whether or not UPS should cover his funeral expenses and stuff. What did we agree on? Do you remember? What do you guys
particularly remember that one?
So there was a
remember what we said
UPS
either.
driver whose truck was stolen.
Yeah.
And he was still in it. And cops went to shoot the carjacker and he was murdered. The driver was killed.
By the police fire?
I believe so. Would UPS be responsible? Should UPS cover his funeral?
I would say that the police were responsible for that.
Okay, let's say it wasn't
that general scope.
let's
I
say
don't
it
know what I
wasn't-
said at the time.
Let's say it wasn't the police. Just to say he was shot and killed while driving his UPS truck. Should UPS cover his funeral expense? Because he's currently working at the time.
Yes.
I think that it depends on what your contract says.
See,
Like, I don't know.
He's right. I'm not saying he's wrong.
Yeah.
But like,
It's a good
it's
question.
moral versus legality.
right. And that's my thing
obviously.
is I'm looking at it from a business perspective.
Yeah,
if I'm a millionaire
Mhm.
and one of you gets in a car accident on the way home from the podcast and you're in severe condition, I'm going to pay for you. And these were both cases of, I'm assuming, somewhat closeness because you're trusting them to do your makeup personally. That's a long process. They
Sure.
probably talk and have a relationship.
Right.
Dog walking, you trust them enough with the thing that's closest to your family that's not your family. So there's some relationship in that aspect. It's not like this was their Uber driver or something.
Right.
I would think that they should pay for it based on that relationship,
Yeah.
especially more than $5,000 if you are a multi-millionaire worth tens of millions of dollars. It's nothing to you. It's a drop in the bucket.
I think so. And I don't know what Ryan's answer is. I'll get, you know, I wanted to ask you too in a second, but for me, it's the public's going to look at that and go, yeah, obviously you've got millions of dollars. Why don't you pay for it? They were in your possession. The
Right.
public will side with me more than they will with you, just
They
because
will.
that's the way perception is. I don't know. I kind of think we're both right. What do
Yeah.
you think?
Well, here, I got one other question. And it's kind of touchy, but as a teacher, if there's a school shooting and you're shot and killed,
Mhm.
does the school have any responsibility to cover your expenses?
No.
No.
I have
Because of your contract?
I don't know. I think that
Because here's the
that's
thing.
actually a very good question.
'Cause
That's
here's
something
the-
that's never gone over.
Here's the thing
I
that
mean,
happens. A lot of times in those situations, a family will sue
Mhm.
for that stuff to be
Sure.
covered. And most times they win. But that like, I'm curious about that. Like, does your employer have any responsibility over your cost of expenses if it's
If-
done while you're working?
if that happened to me, if a kid goes crazy when we get back from spring break and shoots and kills me, I would hope that Steph would not go after the school district.
Really?
Yeah. It's not something that you can control. That's a lot of stuff that deals with the laws, that deals with what the state allows for you to do in terms of security.
Mhm.
A lot of it will fall on me and my own policies and processes of how I acted in the moment. Like, we do drills for that stuff. I am prepared for that to happen at all times. I know, we have solid wood doors that the majority of weapons wouldn't even be able to shoot through.
So you guys do actually prepare for that?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. I've got a whole drill. We shut the lights off. I close the door. I keep my door locked all the time anyways. So the door's always closed and locked regardless. But we had a gun in our school at one point years ago. It wasn't an active shooter situation, but
You like barricade the doors and stuff.
we
You, like,
throw
move desks
we
and
throw
stuff
everything
over
we can against the door as quickly as possible if you have the time to do so. But if I hear gunshots in the hallway, we're not doing that.
there. Yeah.
Just
My
hide.
room is unique. It's a big room, and then there's a back area where it connects to another room, and between it is a bathroom that both rooms share. It used to be an elementary school, so I'm assuming it was just like two
Yeah.
classes had their own bathroom. And then we have windows. I'm on the front floor or the bottom floor. If in that case, there's no protocol in terms of like hide, run, whatever. It's just survive. It's
Mhm.
block the door, do whatever you can. If they get in, throw shit at them, and then whatever. My plan, and I've always run it through my brain, is close the door, barricade if we can. If not, everybody's around that corner. So if they do blast through the door with something that can shoot through, it's not going to hit anybody because we're around the corner with multiple walls in front of us. There's no way they could shoot through it. And then I open one of those windows and we leave out.
Oh.
All those windows are covered by paper. They can't see into my room at all. There's a ton of shit that we do like in preparation for that. It's kind of sad. But
So where does that line up though with our question in terms of like, so you already, is that one of those things where you go like, well, you already know the risks going into it, so you take the job, it's on you.
It's tough. So
because is that really the school's fault if a kid snaps and comes in and shoots me?
It's-
Like, what are they going to do?
It's not, but
Because I don't want cops in the building that are armed all the time. I don't think that that's conducive to. I don't want a prison style learning situation.
I
Like,
believe
we-
it to be a known hazard of the job. If you
Yeah.
become a cop, you know that there's a possibility you're going to get in a shootout
that's
and die.
true. Yeah.
If you become a teacher, you know in this country that school shootings are a thing. If you work at a bank, you know that banks get robbed, and you know that you have that possibility of that happening.
Mhm.
Now, to the point of the question, is Lady Gaga or Kim Kardashian do they have any responsibility? I think the answer is no.
Yeah.
Do I think that morally is the correct thing to do? Yes.
Mhm.
I think that if you're in a position to help someone, and in these cases, you have a close relationship with them, because this is a one-on-one thing. This isn't like Kim Kardashian or Lady Gaga is doing a concert, and one of the ushers for her concert, who she never met, is killed in a car accident.
Mhm.
Would she pay for? Is she gonna pay for everything that happens to every single
Right.
person that's ever been? No. But this is her dog walker, who she's entrusted with an important part of her
Wasn't there
family.
a big shootout at Ariana Grande's concert?
Yeah.
Was she responsible to pay for the victims of all of those people?
She had a concert and raised money.
She
'cause It's
did.
the right thing to do.
But was it an obligation?
But we're not. But
I don't think
but
so.
so that's a concert goer versus an actual worker
Right,
under
right,
that
right.
person.
That's true too.
Umbrella, you
That
know?
is also true.
So like to me, I kind of think there's two differences there.
No, I agree.
Ryan raises a good point though, in terms of like if you start one, it's gonna open a can of flies for everything.
Anything.
But-
The dog walker thing, the dog walker and or makeup artist, you have a personal one-on-one connection with them and interaction with them on a normal basis.
Yeah.
It is a close friend or family at that
Or
point.
employee.
I consider it, you
Yeah.
know. So it's one of those things where I don't think you're going to ever win in the eyes of the public. I don't think, unless Kim paid for the whole thing, it would be sufficient for people. I think they're going to say she could have afforded it. And I think that's just part of being wealthy. I think people always assume because you have money that you have an obligation to help others.
Right.
It's no different than, I mean, think of it as if it was your dog walker
Mhm.
and they got killed walking your dog, would you be responsible to pay for it?
Right.
Their thing? No.
Well, that's my thing too, is I think the word that bothers me is obligation. Is it right for them to do that? Absolutely. But it's right for us to help every person that's in need that we find. You
Mhm.
see homeless men on the street, we don't always give them money.
Right.
Like there have been shootings close to home. That girl who was shot in her car 2 blocks from my house, there's a giant Black Lives Matter mural where it happened now. And there's always,
Right.
you know, the wreaths and everything there. Like the community was shaken by that because it wasn't in an area that typically that type of stuff happens. It was a random act of violence. Is it my obligation as a member of that community to donate money? Some people did, some people didn't. It's right for me to have done it,
Yeah.
but we didn't.
Mhm.
People wanted LeBron to pay for all of that for her funeral expenses and all that other stuff. I don't know if he did or not, but like,
no, but that's not his place. So like what I'm talking here is a dog walker is basically an employee.
Sure.
Because they're providing a service to a celebrity, even if they're friends, that's a service being provided.
sure,
Like, so that's it. LeBron has no fucking,
that's true.
Responsibility of paying
But
that
I
off.
just don't think just because somebody,
Because you have the means doesn't mean you have an obligation to do it.
Yeah.
I guess.
I mean, yeah, like if a postman is delivering mail to my house when they're shot, technically they were like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
But they're not suing you. They would sue the United States. They're not
sure,
suing you.
but it's just, I don't know. Why are you suing me in the first place? I didn't shoot you. Like, I don't think that that's right to expect money from.
They're not suing you. They're suing the United States Postal Service.
I'm saying though, like, I don't think even if they worked for me though, like, why are you suing me? I didn't get you shot. I didn't shoot you.
Mm-hmm.
You were doing your job.
Right.
If I mean, ultimately somebody is providing a service for you no matter where you're at. If I go to the bank and then there's a robbery and I'm shot as a customer of that bank, do they owe me money? I don't think that they necessarily should.
If this was the Joe Rogan podcast and we made millions of dollars,
Mm-hmm.
and someone broke into the studio while we were recording and killed one of you, and I was Joe Rogan, would I be responsible to pay for your funeral?
You're paying me. Yes. You're paying me.
I don't think so. I don't think that it's necessary. I don't think because you employ somebody that it's your responsibility to provide them security.
I died on your watch though.
But it's not. He's not your.
He can't predict what's happening. No, I understand that
But
wholeheartedly.
it's not like his watch though. Like if I'm.
Okay, so turn the tables. If it's just our podcast right now and someone broke in and shot you, am I responsible for paying for your expenses? Or just because I'm Joe Rogan and I can afford to do it?
I think it depends on if it's in your hands. If I give a kid.
See what I'm saying though?
A kid. All right. So
well done.
I don't give kids rides home ever. I am allowed to,
Mhm.
but I don't for
Mhm.
multiple reasons. But if I'm driving a kid home and I get in a car accident and that kid is hurt, I am responsible for that kid.
Yeah.
That is when that kid is under my watch. That is something where I have taken their safety into my own hands and it is on me. If that kid gets shot in a school shooting and they're in my classroom, I don't think that anybody should have the right to sue me because I didn't do a good enough job jumping in front of the bullet for that kid. That's something that I've always believed in. Like people say that they want to arm teachers.
But you don't believe employees are the same thing though as that car analogy?
I don't, because just because you're working for me doesn't mean that I'm responsible for your safety in every situation.
It's such a touchy
It's
thing,
not
though,
like it's not a
because you're
job that
saying-
requires that.
But you're saying you took that kid home and somebody crashed into your car and killed him, that you're responsible.
Because I put that kid in my car and I had the choice not to. That's the
He
difference.
had the choice not to.
That person had the choice not to be a dog walker. That's a job that
I
you
know.
choose. I mean, you're working for a high profile person. I'm not disagreeing with you that I think that she should do it because I myself, as a multi-millionaire, if I had a relationship with that person, I would do it. But my question is when it comes into the word obligation and people who are angry that she only gave $5,000. Well, where do you draw the line for that?
I wouldn't be angry.
This is person,
no.
right? But there are people that
Right,
are.
I understand.
There's people right now that are like at Kardashian's throat because
Right.
she only gave $5,000. Yet those people haven't donated $1 to the GoFundMe.
When
Not that they have
Houston-
any obligation, but
Yeah.
When Houston was ravaged by that hurricane, was it JJ Watt's obligation because he played for that team to do that? No, it was nice that he did that. But if people got mad and said like, oh, well, he didn't do enough, or you get other comparisons when things happen where they're like, JJ Watt raised like $80 million for Houston and this fucking guy only can do this. I don't think that that's right.
So I think the problem, like where our disconnect is generally I'm approaching Ryan's question with I'm putting myself in the celebrity shoes.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm Kim Kardashian and I have all this money and all this and everything. And Jesse walks my dog or whatever and fucking he gets shot and all that. Yeah, I'm gonna float some money his way because I can afford to.
And I would too.
But that's where your thing comes in though. So that's where the money kind of polarizes
that's
those
where
celebrities.
you have to take it away, because here's the thing. We're treating people with money differently than someone else just because they can afford to do it.
It is.
We're stating that they should or they are obligated to do it.
Right.
Because if you turn it into the everyday person who doesn't have the money,
Mhm.
would we hold them to the same standard?
Right.
So that's where now that's where it becomes, to Jesse's point, I agree. I don't like the word obligatory. I don't feel that they should be obligated to.
I don't think so
But I
either.
think it is the right thing to do.
Yes.
If you are in a place to help someone, and you have some sort of relationship with them and you can, it is by all means the right thing to do. Now, if you choose not to for whatever reason, because then again, it opens up a whole nother can of worms.
Yeah.
I don't think that you should be shed in a negative light because of it. I don't think that you're in the wrong one way or another. I think if you do it, okay, great. Applaud you, give you a pat on the back. But like you said earlier, if Kim comes out and pays, let's just say it's $100,000 for this guy's medical bill, and then her hairstylist gets hurt. Now, does she have to pay for her medical bills? You know, it's like, what's the right thing? And that's shitty part about, I think, just
precedence.
And then being a celebrity in general, like, you're always going to be looked at. Everything you do is going to be analyzed, and you're never going to win.
I think that goes for everything that they do too. And I don't disagree with you. If it was me, it'd be the exact same thing. My problem is the people, not you. My problem is the people who are the ones commenting on all these news stations that are saying they're a selfish motherfucker, only giving $5,000, this and that. And it's like, these people give millions to charity, but these are the same people that are also like, they only do it for tax write-offs. And like, those people can fuck themselves, because those people are not the ones that are working at the Salvation Army in the snowman suit collecting dimes and nickels at Christmas either.
Yeah, and those are the people that watch the news just to get mad in the first place.
Right. Those people are assholes. And that's my problem with obligation, because those are the people that throw that word around.
Yeah.
Well, it's easy to point fingers and stuff at people for not doing when you're not doing it yourself either.
Right.
When it comes time to actually do it, then I want to see who's going to speak up and say they're in the right, they're in the wrong.
I need more of a drink after this segment. Got me all riled up.
That's a good question, though. That's a good question. I was wrong. I fully admit, like, you both made me see like a different way of that. And I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. I totally see that. From a legality standpoint, there's no grounds.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no grounds whatsoever. It's more of a moral integrity. At that point, do I think they deserve to be, chastised for it on the public? Absolutely not. But there's a lot of stupid shit that people chastise other celebrities for.
And that's the difference too, between, you're also dealing with a personal person versus a corporation. If a UPS driver or a McDonald's worker or something like that happens, those companies have billions of dollars. They'll shell out 50 million or something crazy for something like that and be like, yeah, okay, we're good. Wash our hands of it. Move on.
You think so?
Oh, I mean, they don't want to. They'll save every nickel that they can, but when they're pushed, they will do it. Just like Minnesota giving the 17 million and all that other stuff for George Floyd.
Yeah.
But like, when you're dealing with an individual, LeBron James is worth a lot of money, but he's still not worth enough money that he could just be shelling out tens of millions of dollars to a disgruntled employee, regardless of what happened to
precedence. Once it starts, it never shuts. That door is always open.
Because as soon as I see that you got in a car accident working, I'm going to drive home and be like, oh, my neck.
Yeah.
Come on, Chris, pay me. You have the film freak. You've got the money. Like,
and if you paid one and the exact same thing happens to person B, you have to pay out that person B. You have now set a legal precedent.
Yep.
And then the next time you don't, now it's a whole nother case. Now you're looking into racism or prejudice or whatever. Now you turned a good deed into a whole clusterfuck.
Bigger monster. Yep.
And you set that precedence for every other person.
Yeah.
And
you know how that works. We know, and we're going to kind of get into this with Deshaun, and it kind of goes a different route, but it's similar. Once one happens, the floodgates open.
Yep. Sure.
The floodgates open. So with that being said, let's get into locker room talk.
Let's do it.
Swung line to deep left field. It is gone! 45-40. Run, William, run! 20, 15.
Iguodala to Curry. Back to Iguodala. Up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. LeBron James with the...
This is locker room talk.
Locker room talk. What is going on in the world of sports, Mr. Unk?
Not much, actually.
Deshaun Watson.
We have a very quick sports, but it will probably take a while because the Deshaun Watson story is just developing and insane. The timing of this story was very questionable. Deshaun Watson is disgruntled with the Texans because they are a joke of an organization. They are the new Browns. They're talking about trading him. They're talking about cutting him. He's saying he's going to sit if they don't trade him. All this stuff's happening. And then these allegations of sexual misconduct start creeping up from these random spa masseuses. I did not think that it was real at first. I thought that this was either some type of Houston employee or fan who did not want him to leave, some disgruntled person.
Time is peculiar
because the timing was way too significant. Like it was too perfect, you know. Now nobody's going to trade for him. There have been reports that are like, oh, this team, and this team are still interested. Bullshit. Nobody's taking this guy because he might be facing like 10 years in prison. Like nobody's taking this guy. He's going to be out of the league soon if this all becomes true. So his trade value's gone.
Which rightfully so. If it becomes true,
absolutely,
he deserves to be out. But the twist of that, which we can get to in a minute, is what if it's not?
Right.
You have to look at both sides. Absolutely.
I think it started with like 3 or 4 women, and I believe it's now up to 17.
Yeah.
There was a Sports Illustrated article that was released today because no information has been released yet. All we know is sexual misconduct. We don't know if that was rape. We didn't know if that was, you know, touching. We didn't know if that was unwanted advances. Like the severity of it matters. Mm-hmm. This could have been a guy who's, you know, got a masseuse that comes over and he's like, hey, you want to tug my dick? And that's inappropriate. Absolutely. But it's not the same as like pinning a chick down, obviously. So
you read the article from today, right?
I read the article from today.
The actual actions that the one.
Yes.
Okay.
So Sports Illustrated article came out. The woman is anonymous, as is her business. She is not one of the 17 women that are suing him. They called her Mary in the article, but all that we know about her is that she is a masseuse in Houston. Is that the right word? Masseuse?
Yeah.
She's a masseuse in Houston. And he was referred to her from another client. That's how her business was worked up. Some of her clients came from another person as like a fee.
19, by the way.
19. Yeah. Okay. And she's not one of them. So this would be 20. She claims that he was referred to her. The way that the business was set up, she did not know that he was coming until 15 minutes prior. He had requested to have a towel placed over him instead of sheets. So she got a giant beach-sized towel to cover him. Her personal policy, a giant beach-sized towel.
For obvious reasons.
For obvious reasons.
Damn stereotype.
Dick Shawn Watson. So I guess like policy everywhere in Texas now. It might even be, I don't know if it said nationwide. It's a large area wherever this was, but policy is that you have to be covered.
It's huge. It's very large.
Huge.
You got to be covered if you go in for a masseuse. Like they're not allowed to have like your dick hanging out.
Yeah.
You can't have what they called gluteal cleavage. So your butt cheeks can't be poking out at all.
Crack can't be showing.
Yeah. So you got to be covered. So this dude's laying face up. She's like massaging his legs and everything. And right in the middle, like 45 minutes into this thing, he just pulls the fucking towel off and goes, this is too itchy. And he's just got his dick all out. And so then she's like, okay, this is Deshaun Watson. Like, I'm not going to say anything. And she claims that he's got like a huge boner. So then she's like,
how would you know that?
I went back to... So then she goes, I went back to my training. And one of the things that they teach you in massage school is that some people, when they're relaxed, will get erections. So she's like, I just tried to avoid it. They said sometimes you move on to like a more like tender, like painful area. And then that would make it go away if you're like uncomfortable. And she's like explaining this whole thing. It's a big, long article.
Think about baseball.
Cold showers.
So then he starts asking her to specifically massage him like on his thighs, on his stomach, like basically everywhere right around his dick. And he tells her
on or around his dick area.
On or around. The funny thing about his dick is that it's located on his
dick.
On his dick. Oh fuck.
We're awful.
This is not this is not good.
This is getting hard. I mean,
anyway,
difficult.
So he tells her, if you need to move my penis, you can. Like if my dick's in the way of my stomach massage,
if
you
my
can
dick
you
is
can
so
pull
large
it out of it.
that it's taking up the massage area. Please feel free to move it.
So,
good God.
So she starts rubbing his stomach, and she said that there was another liquid that was found, and she was like, "Is that pre-ejaculate?" And she was beside herself.
Oh my gosh.
So she tells him to leave. He gets up and goes, and then he contacted her multiple times afterwards trying to get more massages.
2.5 hours, though.
Yeah, he paid for more.
hours.
Like, he paid over the next person's time and was just like, fuck it, I'll pay you double. Like, just keep going. But She said that he never made a sexual advance to her, never like forced her to do anything, never like made any type of thing. She just said that it was very uncomfortable and inappropriate in ways that had never been before.
I thought in the article it said that he ejaculated on her.
No, he ejaculated on other women. So the other women.
Okay.
So there are 2 women that claim that he forced them to put their mouths on his dick.
Okay, that's right.
There were other women, it didn't say how many, who said that he ejaculated on them. And then there were other women who said that he forced them to touch their penis or he like put his dick on them.
Yeah, okay. I thought when I was reading that article it was strictly her. I didn't realize it was combining other stories.
She said that nothing had ever happened personally to her. And that's why she's probably not one of those women.
Other than having to move his monstrous dick out.
She didn't move his monstrous dick. She just ignored that comment, she said. But they like SI went into her accounts and everything, and she had like the screenshots and shit.
Yeah.
Like they didn't show it obviously, but like from his verified accounts on Instagram and Facebook and like all these other things, like he reached out and was like, "Hey, can I get another massage? You trying to move my monster dick?" Like all this other shit.
Come on, dude, I just got
but
so that changes things. So when I read the article, I had thought that advances were made, and my rebuttal was, granted, I'm not in a position, I'm not there, whatever. So I'm not saying that it's hard to do whatever. But if it was going on for 2.5 hours, why not just walk out? You know, like it's not like you're in a public massage parlor or whatever. You know, I'm assuming there's an exit. Why not just leave?
I don't know. I mean, that's one of those things where you get into the whole, like, as a man, can you answer the question type of thing. I mean,
but that's why she doesn't have a case and those other, you know, whatever 18, 19 do.
And I think that it's like,
it doesn't, and I'm not justifying his behavior.
When you
but
get
I'm
into
saying,
it,
like, if I'm in that position and someone's making super awkward, like sexual innuendos or comments or whatever to me,
right.
and I'm in a room with them one-on-one, I'm doing either one of 2 things. You need to immediately stop, or this isn't going to continue.
Yeah.
Or I'm walking out and I'm just telling my boss or my employer, hey, this isn't working out. Like,
and to be fair, Anonymous Mary did have things in the article that implied that she did try to like curb it in a way where it was like, hey, this is inappropriate. Like, because she said, like, when she saw his fucking boner, she was like, do you need to calm down?
Right.
And like, eventually she did kick him out early. He didn't make it the entire way through the session. So I think it was kind of like, when you get to that point, you're like, okay, this is Deshaun Watson. You know, what are his other masseuses doing? Are they, because of his status, going to just waive the rule of the towel because he's more comfortable that way?
Right.
If LeBron James comes in and he wants to have his dick out while he gets his massage and he comes to you, are you going to question that? If you know that, I mean, he's LeBron James, maybe he does that in other places.
But I can understand it makes it more difficult though too because of his celebrity. Because
what if LeBron comes out and he's like, "This is the worst massage I ever had. Your business is done."
I get that, but also,
that's true too.
Are you in a position where you should feel you have to go against your values or morals or policy of your job just because of status? You know, like, if you want me to give you a massage and you want it to be a good massage, I don't want to be staring at your huge dick. Like, it's going to make it awkward. You're probably not going to get as good of a massage. Like, you're just being a creep at that point.
Right.
You can wear a towel or a sheet. I don't
Sure.
care who the fuck you are.
I don't disagree
Like,
with you.
You know, like, I don't know.
If LeBron James came into our show and we somehow pulled that off,
and he wanted to interview naked,
and no. But let's say that something weird
glad
happens.
that I'm not facing. That's on your side.
Yeah, he sits on your
I mean,
fucking
considering
side.
what it would get us, I really wouldn't have a problem.
Let's say LeBron gets a major boner. For whatever reason, he gets off to 3 fucking white dudes.
I get a boner sitting next to me on the couch too. So
LeBron gets a giant boner and he's on camera and you're uncomfortable. Are we going to kick him off the interview?
Is he clothed?
Let's say that he like leans over in a weird way and his dick touches you.
If he's full,
are you going to kick him off the show?
If he is,
you're not. You're going to take his dick and you're going to finish the interview.
I'm not going to take any.
You're
going to
take the LeBron James dunk of a dick.
She's going to take that dick.
Going to take that dick.
Listen, if LeBron James is fully clothed, sitting next to me on the couch,
if Bron is sitting in basketball shorts and you can see every
trunk is out, that's fine.
Yeah,
his dick is in his pants. Now, the second he's like, my boner is
Let's
so
say it's
big
not.
that I can't sit here comfortably, I'm going to take my pants off, bro. You out.
Are you?
You're out.
You're gonna kick LeBron James out?
You would be fine sitting just
I would be
gone.
I would be highly uncomfortable. I don't think in the moment though it's easy to say that we would be like, get the fuck out of here, LeBron
I wouldn't
James.
say get the fuck out of here, LeBron James, because then he'd probably just punch me in the face and I would die. But I'd be like, bro, you got to either put your pants on, go in the bathroom and take care of business, or maybe we should reschedule for another time.
I'd be fine
I don't think
until
you
he's
would.
touching me. Like, if he wants
That's
to
what
sit there
I'm
naked,
saying.
that's his problem. But like,
Hey man, you're bumping my elbow.
because here's the thing: the whole time I can sit here and I can go, yeah, Ryan. So anyway, whatever, and I could talk to the door the whole show. Like,
But you got to think, he's sitting here like, and that thing flops over on you. You're not on the couch. You're sitting here with me.
that's why I said when it touches me, it's over.
Yeah.
Let's say it's not something that is as that extreme. Okay. Let's say that LeBron James is a closet gay man.
That's cool.
All right. And he makes advances to you while we're doing this. For whatever reason, Ryan, you're his type. He's sitting over there. You as a straight man, and he puts his arm around you, or he, rubs your back or something like that. And at this point, we're like, damn, LeBron's a really friendly dude. Welcome to the show. Okay. And by the end of it, he's just like doing shit that's just a little bit, he's not touching your dick. He's not doing anything, but it's definitely sexually inappropriate. You feel uncomfortable. Are you going to kick LeBron James out, or are you going to question whether or not this is normal and let him finish the interview until you realize after the fact when we're like, hey man, that was a little inappropriate. Like, are you good?
So that's a better question, because that's within reason. Now, I don't know, because here's the thing. I have no issues with anybody making any kind of flirtatious advance on me. I have been hit on before by men. It is what it is. I have.
That's a guy who thinks a lot of himself. Even men hit on me.
Ask Ashley. Used to get hit on all the time when we first started dating. But regardless,
Maybe people just like James Harden.
if he was like, if he put his like arm around me and was, I don't know, like if I don't feel threatened.
By the end of the day, he's like massaging your beard.
It'd be
or he
weird.
like touches your beard.
I might be like, well, people ask to touch my beard all the time.
but he does it without asking.
I would probably be weirded out.
Hey, Rai.
Here's the that's a good voice.
Yeah,
Here's
LeBron's voice.
Here's the difference. I think what comes into play is when it crosses the line where you feel uncomfortable or threatened. Now you're a female in a closed room with a big man who's laying on your table naked with a big erection. It's different than the four of us in a room together and LeBron has the hots for me, which I totally understand. I might be okay with it. I don't know if it would be enough for me to make him leave. I don't know. That's a good question.
You make a good point, because so the difference between you and say the girl at the massage table is that, so you, even if LeBron James beat your ass, he got upset and he totally beat the shit out of you, you feel like you still would have the chance to defend yourself.
Right.
Like if it got to that, you would go, man, I'm going to kick him. I'm going to do whatever I got to do. I don't think women view it as that. They just go like, there's no chance. Like I feel uncomfortable.
Especially Deshaun Watson, who's a elite athlete, one of the top athletes in the world.
Right.
That dude, no woman's going to stand a chance against him.
Well, and my main point of them walking out or kicking them out, because the point is right now, would I make him leave because of his actions? It depends on if I feel threatened or uncomfortable with it.
Mm-hmm.
If that woman that was giving Deshaun Watson a massage with his giant erection didn't feel uncomfortable by it, then no need to ask him to leave. But the second that he made an advance to the point that made her feel this isn't okay, at that point, she has every right to end the session, tell him to stop, or walk out. And that's what I'm saying. Like with some of these cases, how does it get to that point? Now, I know as a female, maybe you feel threatened that you can't leave, but like you're in a massage room. It's not like you can walk out.
I think a big part of it, though, that we can't fully understand, the three of us specifically, is one, we're all men, which we kind of already touched on, but two, this is also tied to their job. None of our jobs are directly tied to what we do. Like if a kid makes an advance on me, I'm out. I'm out the door because I lose my job. That's not something where I'm like stuck in that situation. I have a union if a principal or somebody did the same thing, where I would feel safe and comfortable to do so. If my job was to I mean, massaging is the perfect example, but like, let's say that my job is directly tied to these people where I am in need of their service,
No, I get
especially
it.
whenever they can, with a word, destroy what I've built.
So
Your point is it's your job and your reputation. If you were a tennis instructor and you had a client who was making awkward advances or wanted you to instruct them while they're naked and you told them you want it, you know that your firm or your reputation is tarnished. Now, to that point, she kicks him out and she says, hey, I'm not okay with this. And he comes out and says, fuck that massage parlor. I'll never go there again. And then she comes out and says, why? Do you think her case still holds water? Or do you think it comes out as she's only saying that because he's outing me?
I think that it's like the reason I do not give students rides home. The biggest reason is because even if nothing ever happens, all that needs to be said is a word and my entire job and career could be over.
Yep. Don't put yourself in that predicament.
Now,
if Deshaun Watson comes out and says, fuck that massage parlor is the worst massage I ever had because she kicked him out.
Sure.
And then she releases a statement and says, the reason I asked him to leave or ended it early is because XYZ.
Now, okay, so now put it in my situation. Let's say I do give a girl a ride home. For whatever reason, nobody's going to pick her up. She's going to be stuck there. It's minus 30 degrees outside and I feel bad.
Right.
She makes an advance on me in the car.
Mm-hmm.
Me being me, I would feel comfortable telling my principal, look, dude, this is what happened. Like, nothing. I kicked her out of the car right then and there, blah, blah, blah. Let's say that I don't have a principal I feel comfortable with, though. If she makes that advance, and let's say nothing happens, I tell her, hey, anonymous Susie, I am not going to do this. I'm married. You're a student. This is highly inappropriate. I'm taking the risk that she's going to be scorned and go in and say, Mr. Unk touched me on the ride home. This is blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Ruins my career. Or I take the chance that if I do say something, she goes, that's not what happened. He touched me.
And your predicament's a lot more difficult because 99.9% of the time they will side with the child when it comes to any kind of sexual allegation case with a teacher and a student.
Which is the same for this masseuse, though.
No, but here's the difference.
You have an attractive millionaire superstar athlete. It would be very easy for if I'm the woman to come out and say he made advances to me and him going, that is not true. She was starstruck. I just went for a massage. She grabbed my dick. And when I told her no, she made up this lie. Everybody always believes the superstar. 9 times out of 10.
The difference in the stories is your job isn't to give students ride home.
True.
But her job is to give people's massage regardless of who books her. If you book a massage with her, if you're a fat piece of shit, or if you're an extremely attractive athlete, your job is to give them the same massage as anybody else.
Wow.
So her turning someone away, you got to think who's going to, it's hard. It's like, who's going to turn away a celebrity unless it's for a reason? Who's going to kick him out unless it's for a reason?
But if that reason is twisted to be, well, she made an advance and I said no. And then,
that's fair.
I mean, now there wasn't really a turn away. That bitch is lying. She's just mad because he wouldn't sleep with her.
So then what justifies the case at this point? Because of the numbers? Or how do we know it's not? How do we know where we go with this case at this point?
Well, you have to investigate each one by one. And that's the way it is. It's anytime you have 20 cases like this, as I told you guys in our conversation earlier, I said, look, all 20 of them don't have to be true.
Right.
One of them has to be true.
Which I agree with. But the problem is especially with this article that came out today, now details of the case have been made very public.
Yep.
Everyone knows what could have happened. I could come out tomorrow and say, I gave Deshaun whatever his freaking name is a massage and he had his big wiener out and he touched me with it.
Yep.
I know details of the case. I can make a case. What proof do you have? What proof does she have or he have against her in a massage room where there's no cameras or anything? There's no way to prove what actually happened within the room. The only evidence you have is, was a massage booked or not?
So this is why a lot of those cases end up in, payoffs
They settle.
They set settlements, like, because, both sides come to a stalemate. Nobody has it on camera. Nobody has this and that. That's the key thing in this. So do any of these women have, whether it be scars, whether anything, if even one of them have any kind of proof that this was done forcefully or, unnaturally, this guy's facing to lose a lot.
I can tell
how
you
do you
this.
prove it though? At this
If
point,
I'm a lawyer, if I'm this lawyer that they have, and I don't remember his name off the top of my head, what I'm doing right now is I've got these 19 women who do not know each other, who have all come to me with these cases that I am now putting together into this one case. I am checking
Similarity.
I'm going into text messages, messaging, because as soon as LeBron James touches your beard and all that, you're going to be texting Ashley or one of us like, dude, I had this really weird fucking thing with LeBron. Dude was rubbing my back. I thought he was just a friendly dude, but then he starts caressing my beard, and I was like, I'm not cool with this. That's going to be there. We're going to cut over to victim number 2, who's going to be like, LeBron was being really touchy-feely with me, but I thought that it was normal, and like then he started trying to touch my dick, and they're going to be like, okay, that's a similar thing. If
By
it
the way,
turns
LeBron
into
James has done none of this as we are slandering his name.
No.
This is all hypothetical.
it's all hypothetical,
just
LeBron.
Just putting that out there.
We're not sharing.
We're just big fans of LeBron.
You can
If
caress
you
our
touch my beard,
beards.
I'd be okay with it.
That's fine. No, but that's the thing they're going to look at. They're going to go, okay, does he start all of these takes off with requesting the towel? Does he pull the towel off in the middle of the thing? Is this his MO? Is this what gets him off? Does he start with them having them rub on their stomachs and thighs every time?
Something unique.
Something unique that's not been made public that links all of these women who have never met together. That will be proof, because now, even though it's just he said, she said, now you've got he said versus all these women who
Pattern.
would have had to have made up the same story.
Yeah.
That's how you get a guy like that in that type of situation, especially with this many. 19 women is a lot of women. And there's going to be similarities amongst these cases. That's like the same thing with Epstein. There's no proof that he raped any of those girls, but everybody knows he's a fucking perv because all their stories matched. He came into our poor neighborhood. He promised us money. It started with massages. Then it turned into touching him. Then it turned into us sleeping with him. Then it turned into him giving us to his friends. And it was the same for hundreds of girls.
Yeah.
That dude would have burned if he didn't kill himself.
And I tried to see when, like, kind of looking into the story, I tried to see if he had any college trouble too along the way. I couldn't find anything.
Upstanding citizen.
As far as I know, yeah. So like nothing's come out there. I'd be curious to know though if there's some women that are in college that are hiding stories that either they're not proud of or either that they want to just silence altogether. You know,
what would happen if it comes out that it's fake and his contracts with the NFL are expired? He doesn't sign. His career is over. And we find out that it was an awkward situation that turned rogue and someone made it public, and then it turned into that snowball effect that sometimes happens. And now, oh, well, I gave Marshawn Lynch a massage this one time, and this happened. Marshawn Lynch, whatever. What do we, and I'm not saying that's what happened, but to look at both sides, what happens then?
I have always told you when stuff like that happens, specifically rape is what I will say. If you accuse a man of rape, you'd better be 100% sure that that happened. This is an unpopular opinion, but I will say you'd better be sure that that happened, because if they find out that you are lying or that you are falsifying any kind of documents or anything about this, I honestly think the woman should be sent to prison.
I agree. I think she should get whatever. If you are proven to have lied, if it's inconclusive, fine. Both go your separate ways. He's found innocent and whatever. But if it's proven you lied, this is my former baby daddy, I was pissed at him and I tried to ruin his life type of thing. You should go to jail for whatever he would have gone to for raping you.
Yes,
I agree.
If he's found innocent, all these cases are made up or they're all misunderstandings, or maybe there's just not enough evidence and he walks. He's still going to be suspended. He's getting at least 6 games.
Yeah.
Just because of the NFL's conduct policy.
Zeke was found innocent in a federal court,
but
they still suspended him for half the season.
So what happens? So if he doesn't say his contract was expiring this year.
Yep.
And this comes out that they don't hold evidence to hold him, to make him guilty, and no one decided to resign him because of this. What happens? Like
well, so 2 things. One, he's far too talented. If he's found innocent, someone will sign him.
You think someone picks him up even with that history?
100%. Zero doubt. Second thing though, dependent on the NFL's suspension that they give him. Let's say because it's 19 women and it drags out into the season and they think it's far worse than anything Zeke did or Ben did or whatever. And let's say they give him 8 to 10 games.
Ben did, allegedly.
Ben did. Let's say that it goes like a certain amount of games though, like 10 games. Depending on the contract, you have to play a certain amount of games in order for you to have fulfilled
your contract
year. He could be under Texas ownership or whatever the word is, under contract with them for an additional year and void out the year that he was not able to play a certain amount.
Can he countersue for reclaimed funds or anything?
That's something that's already written into those contracts. he wouldn't be able to do anything because he didn't technically lose anything.
Not the NFL.
Right. No,
Like, he couldn't sue like those 19
because he
women.
technically didn't lose anything. He lost off of the conduct policy. He was found innocent.
That's shitty.
Maybe if they proved that the women lied, he could countersue. But if it just turns out we don't have
It's
the
a wash.
evidence, you're found innocent, he can't do anything.
And that's kind of the shitty thing with allegations too, is that even if you are found innocent, your name is always kind of tied to that
Tarnished.
story, regardless for the rest of your
He's
life.
a rapist for the rest of his life.
Right. So like, you used Ben there a minute ago,
Yep.
and it's like, whether we want to admit it or not, we don't fully know the details of what happened in that situation, but people still, people will still tie that to that regardless.
Come fix my TV. I'm Ben
People
Roethlisberger.
do
I
it all
don't
the
know
time.
how.
People do it all the time with Ben, even though he was never actually found guilty.
Mhm.
He's known as Ben Rapelessberger.
Wait a minute. We did
forever.
say that Minneapolis paying them $17 million was a bit of an admission of fault, correct? How much did Ben pay that woman outside of court? Just going back and wondering.
That was gonna be my next question. If he settles,
He's
and
guilty.
It doesn't look good.
even if he does, even if there's nothing, I mean, but does he continue a career in the NFL?
Yeah.
You think so?
Because you're not found guilty. He's going to get a suspension. The NFL doesn't care about Deshaun Watson. They don't care if he's a rapist or not.
Well, yeah, we've proven the NFL doesn't
If
care.
if Deshaun raped all 19 of those women and walked, the NFL will not care because Deshaun Watson is one of the most polarizing quarterbacks. He is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. That dude is insanely talented. And you know what insanely talented people do? They generate revenue.
Yeah. Mike Vick killed dogs, killed fucking animals in the most brutal, slaughtering way. Man is a piece of shit as far as I'm concerned.
Ray Lewis killed people.
Yeah. And played again.
And that was damning evidence. You want to talk about Ben? Fine. I'll let Ben slide. That's mostly, a joke, even though he did it. Ray had fucking evidence
Yeah.
that he was involved in that
yeah.
shit.
Oh yeah.
And he got off on a technicality. That was a Casey Anthony type of situation where he got to walk.
Harrison
that dude
too.
was involved.
You think
big
Aaron
time.
Hernandez would have had a career if he didn't kill himself?
No.
You think he would have
Maybe,
been done?
well, he would have never gotten out of jail.
Oh
Had he,
yeah, that's tough.
Had he gotten out of jail? Yeah.
You think so?
Yes.
That's crazy.
Ooh, that's tough.
You don't think there's murderers in the NFL?
Oh yeah. I mean, Lewis and Harrison.
There's a
shit.
lot of awful people
Yeah,
right off the bat.
which is crazy. And that's we've had that conversation. We had it with Michael Vick.
There are
There's a lot of
all
issues.
forms of criminals. That dude that tried to kill his girlfriend, he's going to play.
That's kind of a problem. Do we not think that that's a problem?
Huge problem.
I mean,
That's why a
honestly,
lot of women protest against the NFL, because it's that kind of league where they overlook a lot of shit.
The NFL would have let Ray Rice play for another 4 years if that video did not get leaked, because that video they saw months prior to it going online. And if it didn't go viral and people didn't flip their shit at the NFL, Ray Rice would have played.
Yeah.
at what point do we hold someone within the NFL responsible for that sort of thing? Like, I guess to like our Lady Gaga and Kim Kardashian question, does the NFL have any responsibility over the fact that they continue to allow violent and dangerous people to have a career within their institution? Do they have any sort of responsibility over
So
that?
here we go on legals versus morals again.
Mhm.
Now, I think both answers are right. They have a moral obligation, yes, but they don't have a legal obligation.
But should they? I mean, should they enact something where should they be more strict about who they allow to play?
If it's not
should
in the-
they turn it into a legal thing? I'm not saying they currently do, but should they have something within their bylaws that we will not, if you are convicted of murder, you can no longer continue to play in the NFL?
Here's the thing. If it's not in the rule books now,
Yeah.
it's a moral thing. It's
No, I
you want it to
agree.
be.
I'm asking, should they though? Should they enact something that states for season 2022, we are enacting a law that states if you are convicted of
You beat
murder, you can no
women.
longer play. If you
So-
if you are convicted of beating your wife or girlfriend, you will not be allowed to hold a contract within the NFL. Should they
Now,
enact something? Should
this
they be
brings up-
responsible for that?
This
That's what I'm
brings up
asking.
the moral question, though. If you have served your time for the crime that you have been convicted for, are you a free person once you have served your time? Mike Vick killed dogs in a brutal, disgusting, terrible way.
Yep.
If you go out and read those stories, it was horrendous
Yeah.
what he did. Mike Vick served time in a federal prison, and Mike Vick got out, restarted his career, and is now a play-by-play guy or a host or whatever he does not very good at it, but he is a host for Fox or CBS or one of the major networks. Is it wrong for him to have done that? Now, it seems that he turned his life around. He now donates money to fight dog fighting. It appears that he learned his lesson and that things are better. He hasn't had any incidences since. Is it right for us to say those 5 years you served or 3 years you served or whatever it is that you did wasn't what it was worth to pay for your penance of what you did, and now you are not allowed to move on with your life?
My feeling on this has always been, with Mike Vick specifically, has always been he is able to live a normal life outside of the game. I don't feel like he should have ever played football again.
I
because you're making in revenue, you're picking basically right up where you left off. You are making probably not the same money, obviously, but you are making.
He made a lot. Eagles paid him a good amount.
Yeah, so you literally lost nothing. You lost a year of your life or whatever it was. That's where I have the problem.
So my thing is,
I think it was a couple, but yeah.
I 100% think, to an extent and dependent on the crime or whatever, that you should be able to have a life after time served. You should be, if you have done your time and you have shown that you have been able to make a change and can live a positive life safely outside of jail, that you should have the ability to then return to a normal life and be a positive member of society.
Absolutely.
Does that mean you should be in a position of spotlight in the NFL? I don't think so. That's where I struggle. Now, who decides that? Is the NFL going to be the one that's going to say yes or no? My whole thing is you could go and get a job somewhere out of the spotlight where you're not an image in the public eye, and I'm okay with that. But I feel like playing in the NFL is a privilege, and I feel like you've given away part of that when you did the crime, and this depends on the extent of your crime. If you robbed a grocery store, probably not.
To be devil's advocate.
Michael Vick, though, that was a heinous, brutal, unhumane crime, and I just feel like the NFL allowing him to come back and play is just sending the message that, whatever, we're okay with it. We condone that behavior to an extent.
Playing devil's advocate for the sake of argument, Chris and I work with people, so it doesn't really apply to us. I couldn't go back and work with kids again after something like that. But is it just because Michael Vick is making millions of dollars? Because technically it is just a job. He is just playing ball. If he was a stockbroker making millions of dollars, would we have the same argument?
I wouldn't. Mine is that he is a public image. That he is the face of in the public.
He's a role model.
If he was making the same salary in the NFL for a job where he worked in an office somewhere and no one saw him and didn't know what he did and didn't care, I wouldn't care. But because of the perception that he gives to the public eye in knowing the crimes he created, now you can look at it two ways. You can play devil's advocate and say, this is positive because it's showing there is life after, and that if you did this thing, you can go on and live your life and you can change. And
that was my next point.
You can do that. And that's one way you can take it. But I just feel like I have a hard time with that. And like the good in me wants to say, yes, let him have that opportunity. He deserves another chance. People can change. But part of me is like the type of role, I think you can change and go on and live your life, like Chris said, and be perfectly fine. And you don't have to be in that spotlight. I think as the NFL, you're just kind of sending a bad message because there's so many cases that come out, like this current one we're talking about, or these football players that beat their wives, the Rice case, and they go back and play.
Yeah.
I don't know if doing the time takes away from the NFL justifying that they're kind of okay with that type of person being a part of their organization. That's where I struggle.
I almost question, so like if the Mike Vick thing happened in 2021, I almost wonder if the results would turn out differently.
I don't think he would play again.
So yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So we are living in a different society than we were in whatever it was, 2008,
early 2000s.
Yeah, something like that. So we are living in a different world altogether now. We're living in a PC dominated world. So if that happens today and you have a bigger charge, a bigger, uplifting of people outside of football who say, this is absolutely ridiculous, this criminal, all this, blah, 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 blah. Would the NFL have allowed him back in?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't either. And I don't disagree with you guys. I just wanted, for the sake of argument, to talk about it because
I love these talks.
I think that because I think if you apply it to things, I'm a firm believer in taking felonies off of people's records and letting them work.
Yeah. We talked about that from the episode with your cousin and all that. Yeah.
And I believe in people getting second chances. I think that if you're regardless of what it is, if you have been released for your crime and your time has been served, I think you should be able to come back into society, because if you don't, it perpetuates a future of other things. If Mike Vick was not allowed back in the NFL and wasn't allowed that platform to have that image to go out and say, hey, we're fucking up on this avenue. Hey, I've changed and I'm going to use my platform and my money to fix the things that I worked against. I can go into communities and help these kids and learn from my mistakes so they don't have to make them, type of thing. If all of that's taken away and they say, all right, you're out of prison, but you're not going to play in the NFL again, what does he turn to then? Mm-hmm. Nobody picks him up. He can't be a sports broadcaster. Same thing, spotlight, whatever. Nobody wants him. Will he turn back to those things? Could he go on and still be an advocate, though? Could he still go and do that without having to be in the NFL? If you truly believe in that, you truly have changed, why not still do that outside of the NFL? Let's say this, though.
I think a college education from Virginia Tech. I mean, you can go out and you can do whatever.
Those athletes have college educations,
right.
but come on.
It looks good in the paper, though.
But and this could be my final point on it. My thing is, if you see Michael Vick, though, who is no longer in the NFL, you don't give a shit what he has to say. What the thing that curbs people's opinions on what athletes say the most is their skill level. Yeah. Kobe Bryant was accused of rape and everybody hated him, but when he went out there and he won those 3 championships in a row afterwards, everybody forgot.
Yeah.
And that's one of the people who gets the least amount of blame for what he did, because he is a superstar, incredible athlete.
It's true.
Ben didn't do a ton after those allegations. I think that was after his second Super Bowl, was it not?
It was.
And since then, he never won. And people always call him Rapeless Burger still and all this other stuff. Ray Lewis, though, nobody thinks about him because he's an all-time athlete, won another Super Bowl, and he was inspirational as he went. People didn't think about it.
He won a Super Bowl in his last game.
He did, but I'm saying, though, like that happened at the very beginning of his career.
Yeah.
He went on to be one of the best middle linebacker, arguably of all time, for sure during his era. Nobody thinks about his murders anymore, though, except for Browns fans.
Oh, I do. He's a piece of shit. Yeah.
A lot of people don't share that sentiment, though.
He's 100% a piece of shit, and I'm not a Browns fan at all. He's 100% a piece of shit.
You are a rare case that believes that, though. I will tell you, many people find him to be very inspirational. His speeches and things like that across the nation, people think that he is an inspiration. A lot of people don't even know about the murder, which I think is crazy.
He's we always compare wrestling fans to the Jimmy Snuka case. So Jimmy Snuka murdered a woman, was still able to wrestle the rest of his career, got away with it in a court case afterwards because he claimed not insanity, but not the well-being, the mental illness, the state of mind to undergo a trial. It's ridiculous. Yeah, no, Ray Lewis to me is a piece of shit.
Yeah, it's tough because I mean, this comes down to a moral thing more than anything, and it's hard because we could easily say, well, if we don't agree with it, then we shouldn't support the NFL. But all of us in this room do.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's so much easier to do that than to say, the NFL. I'm not going to watch football anymore because I don't agree with the fact that they allow murderers and rapists to play in their league.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But here's the thing that I'd said, and I told my buddies this, when Ezekiel Elliott was going through his court cases and his federal trial and everything that was going on, I said, if he's found guilty of all of this stuff, I am no longer an Ezekiel Elliott fan. And I made that clear right now. So I said, I will support the Dallas Cowboys. I will not support Ezekiel Elliott. And I always told my friends that if Ezekiel Elliott was found guilty in that federal court trial, I said, I would no longer support Ezekiel Elliott. I'll support the Dallas Cowboys, but I will have nothing to do with Ezekiel Elliott ever again.
Yeah. I get it. It's
the problem is that the NFL, I don't want to say praise because it's a great opportunity and it changes people's lives, but the NFL preys on low income kids who come from areas like my students who grow up incredibly poor, grow up in crime-ridden areas, who, and I'm not saying all of them, but a large majority of the NFL is people who are, first generation money, except for the ones who came from, athletes themselves, and they don't know how to handle the money. Right. They grew up in situations like that. Mike Vick grew up with dog fighting was normal.
Yeah.
Like, you don't think, when you grow up in something, you don't think of it as being evil and malicious. Like, to him, it's dog fighting. It just is what it is. It's like us going and betting at the casino. It's just what it is.
So the point you're making is money doesn't change the person. They are that person.
Right.
They were brought into the world as that person.
And if you in the NFL ban every person that has a record of domestic abuse, of violence, of brandishing a weapon, of drug use, of whatever you can find on their resume, you're going to lose a lot of talent. And I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing. You can
murder people as long as you can throw a football.
That's what the NFL stance is. But if you think about it, I mean, think of all of the talent right now that you would lose right now.
Jesus.
Tyreek Hill would not be in the NFL.
But where do we justify the behavior just because it's entertaining to us? That's what we're doing, though. We don't justify. We are, though. We're justifying their actions because they bring us entertainment.
The NFL justifies it because they know that in today's media age, you will not remember it. When Tyreek Hill goes for 200-something yards in the first quarter of a game and blows everybody's minds because of his freak athleticism, everybody forgets about the fact that he beat the shit out of his kid, his girlfriend? I don't even remember.
Yeah, it was the girlfriend.
And that's the point. I don't even remember because news travels so quickly, nobody remembers any of that shit. And so I'm okay with having a squeaky clean league. Yeah. We can do that. You'll still have great talent. You'll still have Patrick Mahomes. You'll still have
Tom Brady,
Baker Mayfield, Tom Brady. You won't have Ben because you got to get rid of the allegations.
Yeah. This is why
you're not going to have Deshaun.
When we were having that conversation earlier, this is why I commend Tom Brady, though, also, again, because I think if I were a celebrity, especially an athlete, I would be similar to Tom Brady in that I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying home.
You're going to make out with your kids like friends.
I'm endorsing Ugg boots and bed mattresses.
Yeah, like
you don't got to make out with women at the bar because you're at home making out with your kid.
I'm the most boring celebrity ever. They go, man, that Chris, he is a boring guy.
It's like LeBron, too. LeBron's like very, very rarely is in that. Very rarely in the media for anything negative.
Fucked a newscaster.
Did he?
Sharon Reed.
I didn't hear that story.
Yeah. That's what I brought that up earlier.
Cheated on his girl early on his career.
Oh, early. Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah. So
that dude's got kids across the planet.
To be fair, Sharon Reed is a fucking gorgeous woman.
I got to look her up.
Oof.
I don't know. It's one of those things where I think sometimes the things that we hold value for, we're willing to kind of tweak that line a little bit when it suits us.
So even to that point, though, let's say that it is a LeBron situation. It's not illegal to cheat on your wife. Is he allowed to play? Because that's immoral.
It's not illegal.
But that's my thing is like a legit crime.
Yeah.
Murdering somebody and cheating on your wife.
If you murder somebody, though, you're not going to play anyways because you're going to spend your time in jail.
If LeBron murdered somebody, he got the Ray Lewis rule where he got away and somehow ended up playing again.
But
right.
He's a piece of shit just like Ray Lewis is.
Tyreek Hill was not found guilty of beating his girlfriend, though. That didn't go to court.
Did he settle?
I'm sure he did. It was worked out. We know he beat her, but he didn't go to jail for it. He wasn't convicted of it. So what do you do then?
My thing is you should be found guilty is kind of my stamp on the whole thing. So Ray Lewis, I believe, was found guilty.
I don't believe he was. He didn't go to jail. He didn't get anything.
Well, I know Harrison was found guilty.
Yeah, no, he was found because he had the white suit. The whole thing was the white suit.
Yeah.
The white suit went missing and that had the blood on it.
And Harrison played a great career after that.
The two were found guilty.
Mm-hmm.
He was not.
Mm-hmm. So there you go. Harrison's a piece of shit. And anyway.
Yeah, it's just hard. I feel like we do that in a lot of avenues, and it's like it's easier. Or if it adds some sort of value to us, we find the ability to say, we'll let that one go.
I just think that there's a lot of stuff that you don't know because we grew up idolizing these people.
Mm-hmm.
I love Baker Mayfield. I love Nick Chubb. I don't know anything about their lives.
Right.
Nick Chubb could go home and be the biggest piece of shit to his wife and no one would ever know.
Yeah.
Because he's a soft-spoken guy who runs the rock like a fucking ox.
What if it came out that this is all hypothetical? What if it came out that where'd Baker go to school?
Oklahoma,
yeah.
What if it came out that at Oklahoma, Baker was in a fraternity and he hazed some kids and a kid died?
Mm-hmm.
What would your thoughts of Baker be? Do you think his career would be the same?
Absolutely not. And even in that instance, that would be the complete polar opposite. Everybody would demonize him immediately. And we wouldn't know the details of what happened. Was he there for the hazing? Was he direct input of the hazing? Did he try to stop the hazing? None of that would ever come out. It would just be the headline, Baker Mayfield, fraternity kills boy during hazing.
What if it came out tomorrow.
Yeah, he'd be done.
Especially in
He would be
today's
cut from the
society.
team. He'd be cut from the team tomorrow.
Mhm.
Tomorrow they would cut him from the team. Which would be the right thing to do.
Even if he was just part of that fraternity and he didn't kill the kid.
I would tell you this. If he was involved, let's just say he was involved in this hypothetical situation, he would be cut from the team and all of Cleveland would still be torn by it, including
Would
myself.
his career be over?
Yes.
Like he wouldn't get signed
He would not be signed.
in a situation like that, but people that will go out and do these other things, they continue their career.
because
What's the difference?
Baker's not a top 5 quarterback. Baker's good. He's
Again,
showing.
we draw that, we push that line,
But that's what it
when
is.
it suits us.
If it was Russell Wilson or Patrick Mahomes,
Tom Brady.
he'd get signed somewhere. Tom would not because of his age. Tom 10 years ago,
Tom 10 years ago.
ain't going nowhere. Not going nowhere.
We actually that's a problem.
I don't know if Tom.
I don't think that it's not a problem. I'm just telling you what it is. Cleveland and myself would be torn. I'd be going, fuck.
Fucking Baker.
God damn it, Baker. Like, what the fuck are you
You're gonna
doing?
just stick to your cheesecake.
A part of me would be mad. A part of me would be mad at the people who released that information. It fucking happened in college. This shit was years ago. And we got to release it now, right when the Browns are on the cusp of possibly making a Super Bowl run. God damn. That's what I would feel.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't even think about that kid. And that's wrong,
Yep.
but that's what it would be.
Now think about that with the cases of rape allegations and stuff that come out 30 years later.
And that's the thing too, is it's like, and the people if all the drama of Deshaun Watson in Houston wasn't going on before this, they would have that exact same feeling. And the feeling that they're feeling now is, God damn it, we should have jumped on that first trade option so we didn't have to fucking deal with this. Now we're going to lose them for nothing.
Yeah.
They don't give a shit about these women.
What to that point and getting back to his case, what's the timeline on it? When do these happen?
Oh,
Do we
I don't
know?
It's since he's been in Houston. So it had to have been in the last 3 years, 4 years.
Okay.
And you're talking like when it happened.
So I'm just wondering what's the timeline? Okay. Is this something that happened 6 years ago and now all of a sudden for whatever reason it's coming out like a lot of these cases happen, or was it fairly recent? Not that justifies it. I'm just curious.
Probably anywhere within the last couple of years. Yeah.
You know, because that's one of my issues that
I know
have.
Anonymous Mary was 2019.
Okay, so 2 years. Because we've talked about that before. I can't remember what it was, what episode or whatever we were talking about, but there being some sort of statute of limitation, you know, because these cases come out 15, 20 years later. And do we need to should there be a time frame in which you need to come out and say this happened? Or should it matter?
See, so that's a tricky ground to walk. So for me, I've always said like, yeah, I wish, you know, and I always encourage women. I say, you know, do it as fast as you can. Absolutely. Like let the public know, let as many people know, take photographs, do whatever you have to do, you know, to get these people the justice that they need.
Mm-hmm.
To me though, it's also kind of, I almost want to say insensitive, just because if you tell a woman like, well, you have to tell them right away and all that. Women attack rape different way. I'm not calling you insensitive.
No.
I'm saying like different women react to rape different ways.
Right. I'm not saying like it needs to be in a month, even like 2 or 3 years. Have time to process. I understand that you're going to go through that different, and you're going to be there's going to be trauma and mental health.
Some women don't believe it happened,
you know, and there's going to be things like that. But should there be some sort of time frame? And to another side of this is, do we, and this is obviously only hypothetical because I don't know if there's a way to validate it, but do we think that a similar thing happens to non-celebrities? Do you think it's 30 years before a rape allegation comes out against a Joe Schmo?
Absolutely.
You think so?
Absolutely. Yeah. I had a former friend of mine will say, he abused a woman like physically.
Yeah.
I wasn't at the party that it happened at, but supposedly a bunch of my friends did, and it was 6 years after.
Okay.
And probably not the amount of time that you're talking, but once she raised that allegation, all those friends that were there that night, I wasn't, but all those friends got called right into the courtroom.
Yeah.
They were all testified to witness, and he was found guilty.
I guess that could be something as simple as just in conversation, some reason she just said it, and then it just steamrolls from there.
Yeah.
You just think about it obviously so much as being in celebrity status that these come out, but I wonder in an everyday normal Joe Schmo situation, do these come out 15, 20 years later? You know,
I don't know what the law of averages would be versus like celebrity, but I mean, yeah, I would say definitely.
But there's always that wonder, and that's wrong of me, of us, is society. But there's always that part of me that's like, well, now they made a name for themselves and they've got all this money. I'm going to go and I'm going to hold them accountable.
Right.
I do not believe
that's
in statute
wrong,
of limitations at all.
No.
I think if you did a crime,
I'm going to do some research and go back to the episode because I'm pretty sure you said you did.
Did I?
I'm pretty sure you
My
said
opinion
you
has
did.
changed since then.
Opinions are allowed to change.
Because I believe if you did a crime and it can be proven that you did it, that you should pay for it. Yeah. I don't think that there should be a time frame where it goes, well, that rape doesn't matter anymore.
That's fair.
I have an ex-girlfriend. I won't say who. People who know me could probably figure it out because whatever. But she claimed that she was raped by an NFL player.
Mm-hmm.
I won't put his name out there because that is up to her to come forward and say. But that person reached out to her while we were together. And this is a big ass fucking 350-pound dude, and I'm cussing him out.
After it supposedly
happened. It seemed as if it was
and you
everything
knew about
was
it?
normal. She had told me about it. I'm flipping out. Don't fucking contact her. You fucking piece. I'll beat your ass. There's no way I can beat his ass, but I'm talking all the shit.
You react the way you
I was
would.
right. I was pissed.
Yeah.
That's up to her to say something.
Mm-hmm.
If she did so, I don't think it would be wrong. It wouldn't get the super headline news because he wasn't a super headline player, but he was a good enough player, that whatever. She never reported that to anybody. I don't think that if she decided to today that's necessarily wrong, though.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, it's something that she knows happened.
Yeah.
It's something that she has told people has happened.
She has to live with every day.
I guess for me, part of it is come out sooner so you can easily prove it. 15, 20 years later, it's going to be harder.
I don't know why she didn't.
Evidence or conversation. It's going to be harder to hold them accountable. Like if it happened, just come out when you have whatever evidence you have or text conversations or whatever, so you can hold them accountable. Yeah. And a lot of it in me is so it doesn't continue to happen.
And that's
come out so this person doesn't continue to do that to other people in the 10 years, 6 years, whatever it is, for you to come out and say this person did this. If it actually happened, put them behind bars, hold them accountable for their actions.
So it doesn't happen to another woman too.
That's my thing. And I know that's easier to say because I haven't gone through it and I don't know what that trauma is like. Right. But just logically, that's my thing is, if it happened, I'm telling so-and-so right away because I don't want this guy to rape a girl at next weekend's party like he did me this weekend.
Right.
Before I let Jesse go, the one thing I'll say is that I've noticed, and I have a couple of female friends who have been raped. And the one kind of pattern that I've noticed is there's almost like a shock at first and almost a denial. Like they almost say like it didn't happen. They're the first ones that convince themselves it didn't happen.
What did I do to make this happen? What did I lead them on?
It was obviously my fault.
Right.
Yeah. So it's strange.
I think they say something which is really sad. Like 1 in 3 women have been raped. I'm pretty sure.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You said you have friends who have been raped. We all do.
Mm-hmm.
I know multiple women who have been raped.
I don't know anybody personally, like that I know.
Yeah.
But I know that I know someone that has.
You do, but you just don't know that you do.
Yeah.
I know women that Yeah.
Sure.
The ex-girlfriend of mine, she said that it was fear. It's not worth it at this point. What's done is done. They're no longer on the team or near
like a
me.
level of shame.
He's gone and out of my mind. I don't want to bring up the trauma.
Mm-hmm.
I know other women that have gone through it who did say something immediately and were met with denial. People just didn't believe them. A lot of people don't have the means to get a lawyer and go through all of that. That's a hard part.
And to relive everything
and to just let that all go and to put it out there, to know, just think about growing up in high school and everything else. We're all trying to get laid, this and that. But when it comes to certain people, you find out that they had sex with somebody, they got shamed like fucking crazy. And that's for, regular. Yeah. There's no trauma in that or anything. That's just, they just didn't want people to know. And they found out, and the shit that gets with that.
It's true.
You're an automatic slut. You're a fucking whore. You're this or that.
Mm-hmm.
Now say that you got raped. People automatically don't believe you because for whatever reason, which it doesn't make sense, because in cancel culture, you would think that would be the first thing would be to believe the woman in the day that we're in, but it's not.
I think it's changed more.
I think that we're more lenient, but I still think that it's to the point where it's like, well, can you prove it?
Yeah.
And
I think,
and I don't think
so-
that's unfair.
I think it's more so. I think more so when it's someone of power or celebrity status that we quickly are. Can you prove it?
Because the money.
But even aside from that,
But
though,
I don't know if on a smaller scale, if we necessarily.
If a girl
are.
tomorrow said one of you raped her, though,
Mhm.
it would be unfair of me to one, deny her, but it's also unfair for me to say, okay, I believe you.
Right.
Because I know both of you. I know your character. I know, well, I don't think that they would do that.
Right.
So
Right.
it's not right either way, but because of that mentality, because of the fairness of both sides, because of innocent until proven guilty, you're met with that skepticism. And if I was raped, I wouldn't want to come forward and say something necessarily.
Right.
You should know this about me, that my biggest fear is to be accused of something that I didn't do.
Right.
That
man.
is my biggest terrifying fear.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree
So-
with that. It's just it's sad, and I don't know how you fix it. You know, we had a very in-depth conversation. I think it was season 2 about this, and honestly, I don't know if we'd ever get a guest that would be willing, even if it was anonymous. But I wouldn't mind having somebody on that came on and talked about their experience and why they haven't come out, or maybe took them so long to come out and discuss it. But I think it's one of those things where when it truly did happen to you, that you should feel empowered to do it and that you have support. Because I can't imagine that. I can't imagine being taken advantage of like that and living with that every day and knowing that that person wasn't held accountable, or that they're still out there and possibly doing it, have done it to somebody else, or going to do it to somebody else. That holding that in has got to be equally as hard as having gone through it, you know, and just to live with that every day. Knowing someone is held accountable for their actions is at least some sort of sense of relief.
Yeah.
You know, and having that inside of you, and it not being outed and them not being held responsible, I think makes it just that much more painful.
I'd rather get as many of them out in the open as possible.
Right. So,
you know,
if you've ever gone through something like that, know you have support systems and things, and you need to come out and discuss it and move past that. That was deep.
Sports.
That's one of the deepest sports we've ever had.
I almost forgot we were on sports.
I know.
Shit.
We had 2 other things, but the one's not really that important. So let's just do the NBA real quick.
Cool, let's do it.
Nets have added LaMarcus Aldridge
Wow.
and Blake Griffin, which I don't think we've ever announced on the show.
No.
And the Lakers are signing Andre Drummond after his buyout from the Cavs.
Yep.
Super teams.
Drummond is still an elite player. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
I think he's a good addition.
Dude could average 20 rebounds any game that he wants.
And he complements their big man ball that they're already playing.
And that's another thing I want to get to. Blake Griffin pretty much past his prime. He's averaging like 7 and 7.
He's a bench player.
Aldridge, I don't know what his averages are, but he's old. He's up there.
Yeah.
But they also already had Kyrie, Kevin Durant, James Harden, and DeAndre Jordan. DeAndre Jordan's a little bit older too. He's not what he once was, but he's still a solid player. So you've got these 2 teams who are clearly the favorites now. There's nobody that should contend with them.
Hey, fuck you.
I mean, but they shouldn't. The Suns should not beat the Lakers.
To be fair, the Jazz are pretty good though, man.
Yeah. And there's some good teams, but there's tiers, you know? I mean, just like last year, the Clippers were a second tier and it showed in the playoffs. I think that the Suns are a solid team, but you shouldn't win. You know what I mean?
I just want to win. I want to win a playoff series.
If you do win, fantastic, but you shouldn't win.
Yeah. I want to go second round.
Is the NBA broken?
My thing is at this point is we're not winning championships. We're buying them. We're buying them with the teams we're building. Does it make it any less does it make it any less a championship win just because you've got a team that's good? I mean, that's what you seek out to do, is to win the game. But I mean, I struggle with it because for us, we struggle with it because it's just not fun to watch. Because it's just not fun to watch 2 dynamic teams play a bunch of inferior teams. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the point is to win, and you're going to draft the best players to make that possible. Is anybody in the wrong?
There's no rule set in place against it yet. Like there's
Right.
no, until Silver can There's not though.
Tell that to Chris Paul and Kobe Bryant and the Lakers.
I agree with that. And that's
Yeah.
fucking total bullshit.
Yep.
Like it is a double standard completely.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, my thing is, I know it's a different league altogether. If you fault an NBA team for doing that, you have to take away every New York Yankee championship.
I agree.
Along the way, because those payrolls are completely unfair.
My biggest baseball doesn't have a salary cap, so I can give them that. And I think that's the biggest reason why I don't like baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Basketball, I really, really loved growing up because I watched the Cavs. I loved LeBron. I loved Anderson Varejao. I loved Zydrunas Ilgauskas. I loved Kyrie. You know, I had these guys that were on the team for 5, 6, 7 years that I was able to go, and that was my team. You know, those 07 teams I know. Delonte West. I know Boobie Gibson. I know like the players that were on those teams. Anton Jameson, you know, they were there for a certain amount of time. And you had your key structure, your Mo Williamses. Nowadays, it's like we flip-flop all these guys, and unless you are the top of the top player, you're not going to be guaranteed to be there for a long stretch of period of time. Like James Harden could be traded next year. Probably will be if they don't win.
Mm-hmm.
Or Kyrie. They'll trade Kyrie and try to get another huge piece to come in. They'll bring in John Wall instead or something. And
they're going to be in big salary trouble.
And that's the thing is it's they started off, you know, it started off with there's always been super teams going way back, but it's just become so prominent now. Once Boston got their big three, and then Miami, when LeBron went down there and they created it to battle against Boston. And that was like the first, like, okay, we're going to have these super teams clash.
Oh, you're talking Garnett,
Ray Allen. Yeah. Okay. And I'm not talking all the way back with Larry Bird and them because they drafted those guys. And that's what I mean when I say that there were super teams in the past. You had your Lakers and your other dynasties and things like that. But now it just seems like those teams consistently stayed together, though.
Yeah.
You know, those guys played their entire careers together. Max Johnson was playing with Kareem for a long time and James Worthy for a long time.
True.
Bird was playing with, you know,
Parrish and
every
McHale.
Single fucking the 6 Hall of Famers that were on that squad.
Yep.
And they played together. The bad boys played together for 5, 6, 7, 8 years before they all disbanded.
Yeah.
And even at the beginning of LeBron's career, you know, the Celtics, they all stayed together for like 5 years. Miami stayed together for 4 years. You know, the Golden State Warriors were brought together. They played together. They're still playing together. The Spurs were, you know, big three were drafted together. They were put together. They played together.
Yeah.
Now it's not like that. Now it's like, okay, well, I'm going to recruit this guy and I'm going to recruit this guy. And I will put fault on LeBron for this because I think that he needs that to get over the hump because of the way the NFL or the NBA is nowadays. But he's a part of that problem.
Yeah.
Bringing AD over, bringing over all these veterans that want to play and get the ring very easily and very quickly. Like these teams like the Nets have orchestrated things to put together these super teams. And now you've gotten to the point where instead of it being like it was only a few years ago where you had LA, Houston, Clippers,
Thunder,
Toronto, Thunder, all these teams that were possibly going to be in it. And you were able to go, it's probably going to be either Kawhi's team, LeBron's team or whatever, but the Thunder still have a chance or the Rockets still have a chance, like whatever.
God, I wish that Thunder team would have won.
Now it's like nobody's going to fucking win.
Mm-hmm.
At least whenever it was the Warriors and the Cavs and you knew one was probably going to win, those weren't incredibly overpowering teams. You still had other teams that just weren't able to work together, but they had the star quality.
Until that last year of the Warriors, that Durant year was ridiculous.
Now it's like the Nets have, I think I said it was 41 combined all-star appearances on that roster.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But what do you implement to make it illegal? You're just drafting
Hard
players.
Salary cap. The NFL.
But I think part of Brooklyn is they did buyouts. So some of these guys took less money to join that.
Yeah, like Blake Griffin's not making a great, sexy contract.
Buyout or not, they're taking less money to go. They're going because they want to go and win a championship and beat LeBron.
Sure. But I think that's the beauty of, that's the problem between NFL and NBA. The average NBA player is going to play a long time because if you're good enough, you're going to last.
Yep.
A so-so player in the NBA will bounce from team to team to team on that 8-9 spot on the bench and play for 10 to 20 minutes on the team every single game, and they'll last.
Right.
A guy like Kyle Korver, who is a great shooter, but he's not really that great of a player, plays for 20 years.
Yeah.
In the NFL, that ain't going to happen. The NFL's average life expectancy is 3 seasons. And that's a guy who's barely making it on the field, who can't make it through practice, who doesn't see any action on the game unless it's the fourth quarter and you're up by 30 points.
Especially when you're talking big, high-profile roles like running back.
Right. So those guys in the NFL who do that, like they did last year with Tampa Bay, the Leonard Fournettes, the Antonio Browns, the Rob Gronkowskis, they had already made their millions because they were stars, and now they're capable of doing that. But a young star who, let's say a guy who was on his final contract, is not going to take $2 million a year when they're entitled to 17, because at any given moment you might blow out your knee and never play again, and you can't do that. Oh. So in the NFL with a hard cap, one, a player like that would never be able to walk because they have a franchise tag. So you're guaranteed you're going to be on that team and you're going to figure out a deal unless it's something astronomically wrong with, butting heads. But the hard salary cap ensures that you are going to have to cut some quality players every single year, and you have a window for a Super Bowl that's this big. Mm-hmm. You got about 3 years, and then everything is completely done. Philadelphia Eagles did not play, or they won a Super Bowl, what was it,
2017.
4 years ago. Yeah. That team is a fucking train wreck. Both quarterbacks gone from that team that was on the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
All of their receivers are gone for the most part, except for Alshon Jeffrey, who's fucking terrible. The entire defense has been decimated. They are trading all over the place for picks. Apparently, they're going to go with Hurts, who doesn't look very good.
Good luck, buddy.
And they're just a shit show. They went all in to win that Super Bowl, and their window is gone. In another 3 years, when Tom Brady has got to Tampa Bay is going to be trash.
So,
yeah, they're going to be in trouble.
Answer this honestly. If it's the Cavs that draft the super team, do you care?
No, because it's my team. I didn't care that they were trading for Amon Shumpert and J.R. Smith and bringing in Channing Frye and Richard Jefferson and getting all that stuff put together.
Because ultimately, we want our team to win a championship, and that's all these teams are doing. Is they're trying to draft what they need in order, trade whatever, what they need to win, which at the end of the day, that's your job. Your purpose of your role is we need to get to the finals. We need to win the finals. That's what we get paid to do. We're going to do whatever we need necessary to. A business is going to hire the people most able to complete that job efficiently and be the best at it. That's what they're doing.
The difference is when the Cavs did that, and we had everybody knew it was going to be the Cavs or the Warriors that won it. You had a team that was built through the draft, and you had one superstar. You had Steph Curry, who was elite.
Right.
And then you had two very, very good supporting pieces in Draymond Green and Klay Thompson. And Andre Iguodala was a very good supporting part. On the other hand, you had two superstars, LeBron James and Kyrie Irving. Kevin Love was good, but he wasn't living up to his former self like his Minnesota days.
Yeah.
And you had some polarizing people like JR. Amon wasn't very good. Channing Frye and Richard Jefferson were okay players, but they were really fun. It was just good TV. You had the GOAT, the guy who's trying to fight for that GOAT status, and in his way are these Goliaths who are winning 73 games, who are doing all this stuff. They win one, but we're hurt. We come back. They have 73 wins. We win one. It's good TV. They added Kevin Durant. Nobody liked that.
And the thing I'll say is, like, to your point, legality, it's all there. Like, you can create a super team, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Now, here's the thing I'll say why that hurts your league. Parity is the thing that sells every league. Parity is why the NFL is the greatest sport considered by many, because every year you look at the Super Bowl and there's always at least one different team in that Super Bowl every single year. Yeah. Even if there's a dominant team like the Patriots, there's always a different NFC
Tampa Bay
team every single year.
Nobody was looking at Tampa Bay last year.
I agree with that. To our point, it's not as entertaining. We don't want to watch
same two teams.
Even when it was the Cavs and Golden State, even though the Cavs were our team, it was annoying watching the Cavs and Golden State 3 years in a row. The whole regular season doesn't matter because at the end of the year, it's going to be the Cavs and Golden State. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, this is boring. Let's just get to the finals and be over with it. But I would just wonder, outside of us not liking it, what can you really implement? I mean, get salary cap, but if players are willing to take whatever pay they need to join that team, it's not going to end it.
It's up to David Silver, because when compared to the NFL, the NBA is nowhere close in terms of ratings or revenue.
Yeah.
So it's up to him. If you want your league to be like the NFL, if you want it to be on that grid, you will sit there and you'll go, I have to institute whatever I can, whatever rules I can to break down these super teams. But
I think part of that's too is how long the season is. so many games.
82 versus 16, now 17. Yeah.
And that's the thing is I think that a big part of it is the NBA is very much a players league. The NFL is not.
Yeah.
The NFL is made to make the owners money, and people love it. And you know what? I don't give a damn about those players because it is the perfect sport.
Yeah.
Any team, every single year, there are at least 2 teams that are going to be in the playoffs that are not in the playoffs the year prior. A team that is terrible one year, a first overall pick in the draft, will be a playoff contending team in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the Browns. 3 years ago, we were 1-32 or 1-31. The Carolina Panthers were created. They went to the Super Bowl like 3 years later. You know, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they were one piece away and they went and won a Super Bowl, and they're going to try to repeat this year. But the anomaly of Tom Brady will retire. And when that happens, you will see the changes in Super Bowls over the years. The Ravens getting a random one here and there. The Steelers getting a random one here and there. The Eagles getting a random one here or there. The Falcons making the Super Bowl and then falling into obscurity, and then they will make another run at some point. Like, that is the NFL, and the way it's designed is so that you have competitiveness across the league, and even the worst teams are always just close enough, like the Bengals. Terrible team, but now they've got Joe Burrow. They're only a few pieces away now from being a contender. You never have to look at a team and think there's no chance.
Yeah.
Do you think to that point, especially in being a sports writer and very list oriented, do the super team final winners have asterisks next to those? Do you think it matters in there? When I'm Jesse Unk and I'm writing for Sports Illustrated and I make a list of the best teams ever or finals winners, that this team, because they had this many great players and they won, that it wasn't as big of a deal as a team that had a more adverse.
Chris is over there grinning.
You know, you got to think, you take Tom Brady, who's the greatest quarterback ever, and we know it. So we always assume he's going to win because of his stature. Now, I'm not saying it's a super team, but do any of those have asterisks because it's Tom Brady? And well, yeah, of course he's going to win. Do the Nets winning this year, are we going to look back on it and say, well, yeah, of course they won because they had X, Y, and Z, or were they the best team and they won?
They're the best team, but they're still going to look at it as weak. Those Warriors wins with Kevin Durant are weak. In the NBA,
but that's an asterisk, isn't it?
It's not an asterisk. It's just people aren't going to remember you. Nobody remembers the Raptors. And that's not an asterisk team, but people aren't going to remember them.
Say the Nets go on to win the next 3 years.
The Nets go on to win the next 3 years. Nobody's going to remember them. No. People are not going to look back at the Warriors the same way that they look at the Celtics and the Lakers, because those teams were built through the draft and they were done so properly. Nobody would remember the Cavs if the Cavs had won 3 in a row. The only reason that people will remember the Cavs championship is because they won a 73. They beat the 73 win Warriors. If the Warriors were a so-so team, people wouldn't have remembered them because of the way we built that team. When you talk about the dynasties of the NBA, you talk about the Larry Bird Celtics, you talk about the Bill Russell Celtics, you talk about the Showtime Lakers, you talk about Michael, you talk about the Spurs, you talk about the Kobe and Shaq years.
Do you talk about Michael? Do you talk about the Bulls because of Michael and just because of Michael?
I think that's a huge part of it. Michael pulled that league out of obscurity. They went undefeated. That's a big part of it. They did build it correctly. You can't fault them for the way that they did it. Whenever I make my arguments against Michael being the GOAT, the biggest reason is because his teams were so much better. And that is what takes away from his legacy for me. Because
that was kind of my point of this.
This is why I was smiling.
Right.
That was kind of my point of this.
And my reasoning is because Michael, they didn't do it the wrong way. They brought in one high-profile free agent, and I don't have a problem with that. They drafted Scotty, they drafted Michael, and I don't think that they did it wrong. The difference is at that point in time in the game, Michael at any given point had more Hall of Famers on his team than his opponents. It's not his fault, but it's an easier road than what LeBron did.
Which complements your weak league theory.
Right.
Yep.
LeBron, on the other hand, in 2007, he faced 3 Hall of Famers. He didn't have a single one on his team. When he went to Miami, he had 3 Hall of Famers on his team. he faced at least an equal amount with the Spurs and the Thunder, or he faced more when they added Kawhi. I know Kawhi was young, but he is a future Hall of Famer for sure. Then he goes back to Cleveland. He faces 3 Hall of Famers. It's arguable now whether or not Kyrie and Kevin Love will make the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Maybe, but they're not.
I don't know, dude.
It's arguable whether or not Draymond will, but Clay and Steph definitely will. Then they added Kevin Durant. So now you've got 3, possibly 4 Hall of Famers on a team that are facing off against 3, and Kevin Love wasn't really doing much then. So LeBron overcame a lot of my big, and then I don't want to turn this into a LeBron versus Michael conversation because that's like a whole nother 3 hours of sports. But I think that when you look back at these teams and you see that they had 3 Hall of Fame potential players, 2 former MVPs, a rebounding champion, and you added guys who were superstars like Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge to that mix after the fact, even in their veteran prime. Those guys are going to have enough in a 7-game series that they can turn it on for a ring. There will be contributors. You're going to see a crazy Blake Griffin dunk in those playoff games. And I think that people will find that weak.
Here's what I'll say, and hopefully we'll move on then, finally. Of course, some run-of-the-mill English teacher from arguably the trashiest place in the U.S., Cleveland, is definitely the most unbiased person to speak about this, right? What a joke.
This is very true.
That's what happens when you try to go on YouTube, guys. People just shit on you.
Shit on the coach.
Thank God I have thick skin. I'd have jumped off the Y bridge already.
Good Lord.
I get death threats in the emails like once a week.
Bro, you want to read comments, go on Evan's TikTok and read through the comments on there.
God. What would you have bad to say about a guy cooking great food?
People make fun of his Forrest Whitaker eye. And,
oh my God.
Dude, people make fun of his because he paints his nails black. People give him shit all the time. I'm
give
like,
a shit.
You cannot be famous unless you either don't read the comments or you just have a fucking thick skin because people always got.
I used to argue back with him, and then it just took too much time.
His girlfriend won't let him because that's how I am. I'll fucking you come at me sideways.
I don't have time anymore.
But
the dude could wear a teddy as long as he's making that delicious food. I really wouldn't care.
So good. Those muscles he made. Ooh, I don't even like that kind of stuff. But anyways, is that all for locker room?
That's all we got.
That's all the important stuff. We will hop over to Hollywood Report with Christopher Kessinger.
My God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm! Wait. Everybody calm down!
Two Steve, assemble!
Christopher Kessinger. What is new in Hollywood?
So one thing that I wanted to talk about last week that I didn't get into, and I'm kind of glad I didn't now because the story has expanded slightly, is Regal's openings. They announced their dates last week in terms of, when we were going to get back to opening their theaters up. And for us in Ohio, the dates were unknown because they only announced the April dates and we weren't on that list yet. So as of today, actually, was when they released the new list for now May 7th and the 14th and the 21st. And we're on that list, which is unfortunately the 14th for a couple of locations around here and the 21st for the other couple locations around here.
Why is it taking so long?
That's what I was wondering too, especially considering you have like places like LA and New York who weren't ready to be fully open yet. Like we've been ready for months.
Yeah.
Like we're much ahead of LA in terms of where this COVID spread is at.
Put up some plastic shields and let's get on with it.
That's what I said too.
If AMC and Cinemark can open, what is Regal just really that much more concerned about COVID than the others, or are they more concerned? Are they the answer to that's probably no. Are they more concerned they're not going to bring in enough clients to meet the revenue stream to be open? I think that's probably more the reasoning why.
I think blockbusters play into it big time because you have Kong versus Godzilla coming out this week. That's what kind of got this talk going. May, obviously you'll have things kind of going back to normal a little bit with some of the other movies too.
Yeah.
To me too, I think what plays into it is versus Cinemark. Like Cinemark never really closed. Yeah. Regal, they had to go through all this. I haven't been to a Regal cinema since September.
Yeah.
You're missing out though. They're missing out on this opportunity because as soon as these big blockbusters hit, like Nobody and Godzilla and whatever else is coming out soon, people are going to be like, well, I'm familiar with Cinemark now. I've been going to Cinemark. They're not going to go to Regal and switch it up unless it's like a very close proximity situation.
And they come back at the prime of drive-throughs starting to open too, which is going to be more competition for them.
Now, where this story has expanded is HBO Max announced a few days ago that their same-day releases that they've been coming out with throughout this whole year, that's supposedly was only a one-year experiment, and that next year they will break that experiment. Now, where this factors in with Regal Cinemas is that Warner Brothers has made a deal with Regal Cinemas to basically have a 45-day plan. Now, what that is after 45 days, any movie from Warner Brothers can be moved to HBO Go. So I guess basically it depends on a lot of things, whether it's, revenue, how much the money's making in theaters, all of that. I think the weaker movies will obviously be moved faster.
I'm 100% on board with a 45-day grace period. That's
6.5 weeks.
Plenty of time to see a movie in theater.
Yeah.
Not many movies probably even last that long in a theater.
Yeah. I'd be fine with a 30-day window, to be honest. Like,
yeah.
I think during blockbuster season.
I think if you're wanting to see the movie, you're seeing it in the first 2 weeks, probably.
That's
After
about
that, put it on demand.
Yeah, I'd be fine with a 30-day window, honestly, because you have so many movies, especially now that everything's opening back up. We're going to have a clusterfuck of movies backlogged from last year that are going to come out. So you're going to need that space cleared a lot faster.
Yeah, the only stuff that goes longer than 3 weeks are huge
Big
things
movies.
like Avengers, Harry Potter, Avatar, stuff like that. That type of stuff can last 6 months.
Yeah,
I agree. Speaking of big movies, Suicide Squad's trailer, or the Suicide Squad's trailer, broke this week. I think some of us have some different opinions, so we're going to go around the table. First of all, I'm going to start with Ryan. Ryan, you saw this trailer, right?
I sure did.
What did you think? I mean, obviously, besides your wife being in it, what did you think about the new Suicide Squad, the new look of it and everything?
I think it looks great.
Mhm.
I think it looks like a completely different movie. Is somebody else doing it?
Yeah, James Gunn is from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Who was doing it previously?
Oh shit.
Not James Gunn.
Stumped him.
Fuck.
Either way, it's somebody different, and you can tell. I think the trailer looks good. I had asked you some questions about the recastings and like the cast changing or roles changing and everything like that. But even the look of some of the characters looks better. I like Margot Robbie's. I don't know.
It's
more like her all together, but
it's a more faithful Harley Quinn.
The Harley Quinn character they have. I'm pumped for it. I like the first one though, so as many people did not.
David
I
Ayer.
enjoyed it.
David Ayer, yeah, because I was thinking the guy from Bright, the director from Bright,
Yeah.
the Will Smith movie on Netflix.
I'm ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
I have no hesitation in seeing it by any means, so I'm looking forward to it coming out.
So and what did you think about the original? You thought it was?
Oh, I liked it.
You liked it? Okay.
Yeah, I didn't love the original. I'd probably say a 7, maybe
7 out of 10.
But I've been waiting for the new one to come out,
Mhm.
so I'm definitely excited for this to launch.
Thoughts, Jesse?
I don't know. The trailer looks good, but the trailer for the last one was incredible. It had really good music.
The first one was
and
really
it was
good.
super colorful, and it looked badass, and it was awesome. And then the movie was underwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is going to be the exact same thing.
Okay.
I hope that it's good. I'm not. I think I want it to be good. I desperately want it to be good. I just don't trust them to do it.
Mm-hmm. Is it the vibrancy of the characters that kind of makes you question it? Like the fact that there's a shark actually in the...
That was a little weird.
No,
I'm not
so
gonna lie, but-
so Steph is a big Flash fan. She like watches Flash every single night. That's what's like on the TV when we go to sleep. So I'm
not reminiscent of Jesse or anything.
Yeah, no, I do not like the Flash, but I'm
That's not what I was
familiar.
getting at, but
He's got his Flash underoos.
I am.
I more so meant he's like a 3-second man.
Yeah, whatever. No
It's
shame in
job
my
done,
game. I'm
right?
married. I got it done. I don't got to impress anybody. Rings on the finger now. But I'm familiar with King Shark and the giant fucking shark monster guy.
Mhm.
I don't think he looks very good. I think the CGI on the shark is kind of questionable.
Mhm.
My biggest problem is just like, I don't know. It doesn't look like it's being done in a way that's good, where you're taking obscure characters like a Guardians of the Galaxy and turning it into a lovable like thing where there's going to be a big backstory.
Mhm.
It's going to be a bunch of characters that nobody fucking knows, like Polka Dot Man, and they're all going to be thrown together into this adventure. There's not going to be any backstory because it's supposed to be rated R. Oh, look at us, we're edgy. It's Suicide Squad. There's blood and gore and this and that, and it's not going to it's not going to teeter on a story. It's going to teeter on shock value, and Margot Robbie's so hot, and she's going to make a quirky little "Hey, Mr. J" type of comment, and
Sold.
That's enough for that guy.
it's just not going to be a good movie. And it could be a good movie. Like, you can take raunchiness and make it good. Like, Deadpool's great, but Suicide Squad just doesn't. It's too much packed into one, and I just don't believe in it. The trailer looks good. I hope it's good. I think it looks good. The first one's meh, and I think this one's going to be meh when it's all done because DC doesn't know what the fuck they're doing.
So a lot of my problem with the first movie is the fact that, so you had this presentation, this aesthetic that was very dark and very, you could just feel in the air, the ominous of it all. And yet they went for a lot of comedy in it. As to where, the trailers, at least the first one, sold it as a dark movie, and then the other trailer sold it as a completely different one. Now it's a comedy. This movie seems to know exactly what it is. It seems to know visually that it is a comedy. It seems to know, it even has like a French kind of 70s camera style and cinematography behind it, like the quick cuts that kind of go between characters, left and right. It feels like a completely different movie, a completely different director, and I think that's what's best for this property. The color scheme looks great for it. Color correction, I'm with Jesse. Some of the CG looks a very questionable in it, especially the shark, especially Starro too. I know a lot of people are psyched for Starro.
He's psyched for Starro.
He's never been one of my favorite villains, but I guess to each their own. We'll see what they do with him.
If you don't know who Starro is, he's a giant starfish.
Yeah, I mean, and that's pretty much. So his starfishes, they grasp kind of like face huggers in Aliens, and they can take over that person and basically make them do whatever they want.
It's a starfish with an O on the middle of it. Kind of looks like Captain America's shield.
This
and
totally
when they sat there and they wrote the name of this person, they said, "What are we going to call this guy? Let's go with Starros. It's great. Well, it's going to sell many comics." So then they chewed on their giant cigar and made millions.
When we talked about Justice League and I talked about DC and their character development being cheesy, that is where they drop the ball. They have the storylines to make good movies, but this shit is so corny.
Yeah, so for me, I think what worked about the trailer for me was the comedy, first off, and I like the repertoire between this cast. I feel like this cast is going to work a lot stronger than the original cast did. There were some very hollow pieces of that original movie. I still say Jai Courtney's Boomerang was not that good. He didn't fit too well into this group. I thought Will Smith was good, and I thought Margot Robbie was good. Outside of that, you could take everybody else and just throw them away.
To be fair, Jai Courtney is not good in anything.
No, and he's in this too as Boomerang again too. So that's the thing. I like seeing Idris Elba though. I love him in this role. And he looks more kind of. So the thing with Will Smith's comedy is sometimes it can be a little corny, but Idris Elba seems to keep that rated R kind of feel. And that's another thing I love about this movie is it's rated R versus PG-13 with the original. That movie should have also been rated R because it's dark, it's gritty. Why the hell was it not?
I still get to see Margot Robbie's boobies.
God no.
You definitely.
She ain't doing that anymore.
If that happened, the internet would blow up. But
she did Wolf of Wall Street. I mean, come on.
Right.
Harley Quinn's crazy.
But so what concerns me about this is, aside from everything I already said, I feel like the trailer showed too much. As far as story goes, as far as, just everything. To me, I would have showed a bunch of images cut with some cute, quirky music here and there. Don't tell anything about anything. Why we're there. They're obviously there for Harley Quinn. Leave it a mystery. Yeah. Like, who's this guy? Who's this guy? Where do they tie in together? Like, don't show them in the bus together or in the van together, working together. Is this guy a villain? Is he? I don't know. To me, when a trailer shows too much, and this has always been my problem with Marvel movies, is that I feel like I know the movie in the opening 5 minutes of the trailer,
It did feel like a long trailer.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a very long trailer.
It felt like
3 minutes.
Yeah, it was long.
Can I share an unpopular opinion?
Sure.
We like those.
I think Margot Robbie is not a good Harley Quinn.
Well,
she's hot.
What Mike are you?
She's hot, but she's hot, but she's not. She doesn't represent the character good.
You don't think so?
I
love her fucking.
I grew up watching the animated Batman where she was first introduced, and it's just they try to make her sexy. Harley Quinn's not sexy.
I remember some Harley Quinns and
she's
other things that
she seduces Robin.
It's just not like it's not like that though. Like she's just they try to go for like this whole like ditzy, like what, I don't know. It just doesn't hit for me for some reason. Like I don't trust that she's a badass. I didn't like her in the original. I didn't like her in the Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey, whatever long ass title thing.
I like
Birds
of Prey more than Suicide Squad.
I liked it more than Suicide Squad, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
It's just not that good. And she doesn't seem like, I don't know. It just doesn't fit for me for some reason.
Who do you want to be Harley Quinn?
I don't even know. I just don't think that it's not necessarily her fault. Like, I think she could do it. I just don't like the way that I think the problem is like Mystique in the new X-Men movies, how they focused on her as like a main person. And that's not what it should have been, but it was because it was Jennifer Lawrence. So it had to be.
Yeah.
And I think that that's my biggest problem with it, is they're trying to make her the focal point. Harley Quinn is not the focal point. She's not the focal point of the Suicide Squad. She's not the focal point of the fucking Joker.
I do feel like they're running this character thin. Yeah, very much. Because even in Birds of Prey, so that wasn't originally supposed to be her movie. It was supposed to be the other three's movie.
Right. And they're just trying to, they're like, oh my God, Margot Robbie's so hot and everybody likes her and she did such a good job in all these other movies. And she is a good actress, but like, it shouldn't be her fucking show. Why is DC surrounding Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn when that is a background character at best in the DC movies? But DC has such great villains. You don't need, the focus of DC should be three people: Superman, Batman, the Joker. Those should be the people that are centered around everything. And that's what you do. The new Batman movie with the Riddler in it, they're taking a obscure villain who's relatively well known, but they're making it dark. They're making it the right way. And they're doing it the right way, the way that it should be. Margot Robbie should be playing a dark, fucking psycho ass Harley Quinn who has some like quirkiness, but it's not in a way where it's like cute and fun and let's shoot confetti guns. It's in a way that's fucking, she shoots off a confetti gun after she murders a fucking child. She's supposed to be fucked up, not like, hey, I like egg sandwiches and here's all these gals and we're going to bring them together for girl power because I'm Harley Quinn and I'm sexy and everybody likes me.
It would be cool to see a dark version of her like they did the Joker, like a character piece about Harley Quinn, and did a really cool character piece about her. But I don't know.
And if we're dreamcasting for Harley Quinn, give me Juno Temple any day.
Juno Temple.
That? Yeah, you'll know her once you've seen her. She's been in a lot of movies, like what is that? That Black Mass was Johnny Depp when he was Whitey Bulger. He was the little, like the teenager that he murdered and left in that apartment.
I know who this is.
Yeah, but her voice and everything would work perfectly for Harley Quinn.
She is good. She's the girlfriend of Black Cat in The Dark Knight Rises.
Oh yeah, good call. God, she's been in so much.
So I got a quick question about the director change. What makes a movie decide to do that like in middle of a series or like in middle of a storyline that's going to continue? Like the first Suicide Squad being done by somebody different than this one. Why not a continuity? Did it not meet the expectations they wanted? Or does the studio decide to give it to somebody new? Why does that happen? I always wonder that.
So you're talking director, not direction, right?
Yeah, it would change the director, correct?
So yeah. And the direction, honestly, like it seems like it's a completely different movie.
And I feel like a lot of the times that happens because they change directors mid-movie.
It does. James Gunn is known for that humor.
Yeah, and for continuity,
continuity
purposes, you can almost always tell when a movie that is a continuation story has been changed over to a new team of people. You know, so is that based on the studio? Like, who makes that decision and why?
Well, for starters, they only signed Ayer for one movie anyway, so there was no guarantee he was coming back. Now, if you have a case like Christopher Nolan, where they knew they were going to make 3 films at the very start of this, he knew it was going to be, Batman Begins, Dark Knight, and Dark Knight Rises.
Right.
They knew those 3 films were his project. It's very rare where that happens, though. It's because somebody as big as Christopher Nolan takes on the project that they go, we're going to sign this guy to as many movies as possible.
Well, with this guy, would he have been given the opportunity for this one and turned it down? Or did they maybe say we didn't like what he did and they pick somebody new?
I think he would have been given that opportunity if the initial Suicide Squad was received with praise from the public. No, yeah, like that's the thing with your rating. Like you're kind of the minority in that thing. As to where
I know I am. Yeah.
My problem with it, honestly, it was the worst edited movie that I've ever seen in my life. And there's a bunch of problems as far as continuity goes that don't line up and they don't make sense. It's like a bunch of scenes just disheveled and they pasted them together. But like, yeah, so they probably saw that. They saw the general public's reception and they said, you know what, we're going to go our different ways. We're going to look for a new tonal direction. We're going to look for a new director, period. And James Gunn, I think, is perfect in this role because he took something like Guardians of the Galaxy. One thing I disagreed with what you said was that we don't know these characters very well, and that's going to lead to a lot of problems. I didn't know shit about Guardians of the Galaxy when I was going into that. And I was like, dude, they got a fucking raccoon in this. This is ridiculous. And then I ended up seeing it and it ended up being some of my favorite Marvel movies ever.
And going back to that, I don't think that it's that he can't do it. It's that I don't think that they're going to do it.
Yeah, fair enough.
I trust James Gunn to do it because, to your point, he took people that nobody knew at all and turned them into arguably some of the biggest superstars in the Marvel universe. People love the Guardians of the Galaxy.
They're a family, dude.
Groot is the most marketable character in all of Marvel.
Yeah.
I don't think he can do that with Polka Dot Man and Boomerang Man and all that shit, though. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
You don't have any cutesy people in that. And there are a lot more than just 5 that you have to flesh out. And it's not an origin story. So we are starting after another movie and trying to clean it up. I don't think they're going to be able to do it.
And that's what's confusing, especially considering the Snyderverse is still, as of right now, canned. You know, he has no plan, Zack Snyder, to pick this thing back up after the Snyder Cut has been revealed. So, like, to me, I'm like, where does that leave this story? Where does it fit into the continuity of everything else? Wonder Woman, Aquaman, everything else going around it.
Yeah.
You know?
If I'm DC as a main marketer, whoever's in charge, the Kevin Feige of whatever that is, I'm going to bank everything on this Robert Pattinson movie.
Yeah.
Hope to God that it does well and just say, we're just going to make it fucking dark. And it's not going to be for fucking kids. It's going to be for people that are 20 to 45 who grew up with these comics, who wanted things to be dark, and we're just going to go with a fucked up, twisted type of thing, and we're going to introduce dark characters and go from there. Yes.
Like, that's the thing. Batman's been dark before, but this looks like a 7 kind of like serial, like psychological thriller kind of movie.
Yeah.
And they delayed that shit again. It's next fucking March. Like, we have to wait a whole fucking year for that movie.
It's fucking bullshit.
So anyway, 2 more things we got to go. Disney Plus announced their newest Star Wars installment today. They announced the cast and the premise, lightly the premise. Obi-Wan Kenobi's series coming out. I'll get to the cast here in a minute, but basically the story takes place 20 years before the first the installment 1 of the Star Wars. So before episode 1.
Oh, really?
So this is a prequel.
Obi-Wan before episode 1? I did not know that. I thought it was going to be after episode 3.
Which is strange because of some of the casting too. So to me, and maybe I read that wrong. Maybe it is after, because I'm looking at the casting and to me, it doesn't make sense.
Why are they talking about Anakin Skywalker?
Right. So you've got Ewan McGregor, obviously, is coming back as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Hello there.
Hayden Christensen, who is coming back as little Vader, I guess we should say.
Little Vader.
Moses Ingram, I have no idea who she is. Joel Edgerton is my boy. Love Joel Edgerton.
Who's he playing?
I don't know. These are just the cast right now. Like, they've got them all on here on this big poster reveal that they did. Bonnie Piesse, Kamali Nanjiani, that's an interesting casting. Rupert Friend, O'Shea Jackson, Ice Cube's boy, is going to be in there.
Obi-Wan's son.
Yeah.
Or Mace Windu's son.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe.
It's like the only black person in Star Wars, I think.
Yeah.
In the prequels.
Sung Kang, who played the Asian dude who died in Fast and the Furious. He'll be in
Han, yeah.
And
he's not dead though. He's coming back.
I know. Fuck that. That's stupid. Anyway, and my boy Benny Safdie, who is one half of the directing force of Uncut Gems and Good Time.
Nice.
Good to see him in more acting roles. The guys, are we excited for Obi-Wan Kenobi, especially after The Mandalorian? Is this too much too soon, or?
Disney can do no wrong.
Okay.
With their TV shows.
Short pause there. I'm looking forward to it. I haven't looked too much into it yet. I'm looking forward to the Boba Fett story. But
yeah, Boba Fett.
I'm curious about the timeline now that you said where it's supposedly taking place. I want to look into that more and kind of figure out where they're going to pick up his story.
Yeah. I think it is after. You guys are probably right.
But to Jesse's point, I mean, they've been killing it with these shows that they've been putting out. A lot of people have not liked the direction that Disney has taken the Star Wars franchise.
Mm-hmm.
I really have enjoyed it. I think that they just put the money into the things that they believe in, and they really put out a good product. I think it's going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Mandalorian was amazing.
I agree.
So
better than any of the movies.
I can't foresee this being
Any of the
anything
movies?
No, I'm saying of the new movies.
Oh, I was gonna say.
Favreau involved per usual.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
I don't think that he is.
No.
No.
See, I really liked him and Mandalorian stuff, but either way, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, until they do something that I don't enjoy, I'm definitely gonna be on board.
Yeah, let me correct myself. Any of the Rey trilogy that this is better.
Them?
No. I'm not saying I didn't like them. I'm saying the Mandalorian is better than anything of that, though.
I didn't like them.
I like the first one, and I like our Rogue One too.
I like the first one also because it is A New Hope, and The New Hope is good.
You can't really like one without the other.
The next one, I like parts of it. I think there are entire scenes that could have been completely taken out. The whole casino planet should be fucking erased.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
They
Halts the
wasted
movie.
Finn, and then they ruined it at the end. It was fucking stupid, and they shouldn't have made her a Skywalker. They should have made her a Palpatine, because that message is much stronger than making her a fucking Skywalker. It shows that people could change, and you're changing the narrative of an evil empire and erasing it for good, but Disney fucked it all up. So who's that?
That's Ray.
Oh,
I was showing you a movie poster.
Yeah, I bet that is. I'm psyched for it though. I'm curious to see if they're going to get the full 10 episodes, or does this feel like a shortened series because it's a more expansive cast, more prestigious cast than obviously the Mandalorian had. It's going to be interesting, and I'm down for more shows, not so much more movies, because it seems like they're hung up on that family, and I'm fucking tired of that story.
I am too. Get rid of the Skywalkers. I'm done with them.
Yeah.
I'm fucking finished. We have an entire universe in a galaxy far, far away. We have a whole fucking galaxy.
Yeah.
Let's tell some stories.
Two quick things before we move on to the last subject. Have you guys watched Winter Soldier?
Yes.
You?
The Winter, yeah.
Is it good?
So I was going to talk about this next week. I want to get 3 episodes down before I start talking.
I was just curious. I haven't taken the time to watch it yet. I started it, and then I was like,
Second episode was much better than the first.
I agree.
Other quick question, and I haven't watched Snyder Cut yet, but I went to start it the other day, and then I realized there was no way I had the time to do it, so I turned it off.
4 hours.
I don't love that they did it in 4:3. Why the fuck did they put it in 4:3?
So a lot of people have that, like the audience is split down the middle, and I'm kind of the same way. To me, I'm like, I don't like 4:3, but I understand why they did it for that.
Why?
Well, it's an IMAX feel, because IMAX stretches this way as opposed to this way.
We're watching it at home.
Right.
We're not watching it in IMAX theater.
Doesn't look good on a TV, but if you ever, and they plan to screen that on a theater once these theaters are back, and they have more expansion, I'm gonna go see it in a theater.
At home, I just don't love it. Everyone has widescreen TVs, and I've got this square fucking cube in the middle of my TV.
Yeah. Snyder said he wanted to release it in a way that you were watching it in a theater. He said he didn't want to take away from the IMAX feel of it.
Well, that was a really poor reasoning, because I do not feel in any aspect like I am in a theater, because half of my TV is not in use.
I totally understand. So that's my problem with a 4:3 in general with any movie.
These goddamn 16 Niners.
Yes, it looks better.
Yeah, I would honestly rather have this than this. Like, that's just me, but
I didn't mind it.
It looks silly. Anyways.
Yeah, I understand. And yeah, we'll talk probably next week. We're going to talk about Winter Soldier.
Maybe I'll try and catch up before then.
So the last segment of Hollywood Report, I wanted to turn over to Jesse, because Jesse had a question that he wanted to ask us, and I'll hand it over to him.
So my good friend, Bo Anderson, used to work with him at the movie theater. I was technically his boss. He has his own podcast that he was gracious enough to give us a shout out on. It is the Casuals Dynasty Football Podcast.
Bo Diggity.
Bo will be joining us here in a couple of weeks as a guest. He's a real cool guy.
Bowberry Biscuits.
But one thing that they do every single week is at the end of their show, non-related to sports at all, just for fun to interact with some fans and everything, they do a random top 5. And so because of our history at the movies, their top 5 was top 5 favorite movie characters of all time.
Yeesh.
So he called me up. Unfortunately, I was driving to Indiana, so I had text in my answers, but he gave us a shout out on the show. I told him I would do the same, and he shared my answers. So I figured it would be fun for us to do it as well, especially with the Film Freak being one of our regulars. So I figured we could do our 5s, rotate around 4s, 3s, 2s, and then finish up with our 1s, and then finish off the show with that.
So before we get started, I just want to say 2 things. First of all, I have 7 because I can't narrow it down to 5.
It was hard for me to do 5.
Yeah.
And I think that in like a week, I'm going to go, fuck, I forgot about that person. But
yeah,
whatever.
And 2, you have to understand how fucking unfair this question is completely. So this to me is worse than saying what's your favorite movie, because at least your favorite movie, you have a sense of knowing what you've watched most in your life.
You know what your favorite movie is.
Characters are ridiculous, dude. Characters there are literally, for every movie, there's 20 times more characters.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
So yeah, that's all I'll say.
I'll start us off. My number 5 favorite movie character of all time is Chef Carl Casper.
Nice.
From Chef.
Why do you like him?
I love Jon Favreau. I think it's a very simple movie.
Mm-hmm.
I used to say it was a guilty pleasure movie, but it's just good. It's not even a guilty pleasure.
Good.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
Watching his arc, like, it's a very simple thing. Guy engrossed with his work, who cares about that more than his kid, goes on a little journey, finds himself, reimagines his career while building a relationship with his family and building it back together.
Mm-hmm.
His freak out scene at the beginning with the food guy losing everything.
It's molten.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Oliver Platt as the food critic.
And I just like they just write it perfectly. Like him, figuring out Twitter with his son, and his kid's like, I just like figuring out stuff like this. Like, we don't have to, like, he takes him on roller coaster rides and takes him to movies. And he's trying to be a good dad, but he's not good at it. And then finding out just spending time with him is like the thing. It's just a movie that makes me cry every time. It's super good. It made me fall in love with food. It's the reason I started cooking.
Oh God.
His character is perfect. And for a guy that's not known for his acting, he's known for his directing and his producing and his having his hands on everything and creating these great stories.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's one of his best roles. I love him in it. It's my favorite.
I'll say this, it's my favorite Jon Favreau role. And like there, as far as what I would put next to that, there's some old school comedies he does with Vince Vaughn before either of them were famous, like Maid and Swingers. I would put those up there too. Yeah.
So that's my number 5.
Christopher.
Okay.
I'm gonna put mine in no particular order, 5, because I can't get that in depth yet. But I'll give you 5 characters.
Yeah, I didn't rank them, but that's even harder. So I'll go 7, 6, 5 just to kind of be on the same scale as you guys. I'll be real quick with it. So I guess out of these, number 7, I'm going to put Sheriff Wydell from The Devil's Rejects. And what's interesting about this character, as to where I hate probably 90% of Rob Zombie's movies, I feel like this is the one thing that he did right. The Devil's Rejects as a whole, I think, is his best film. Sheriff Wydell is a badass, and not only that, he's fearless in the face of evil. Like, no matter what the odds are stacked against him, he still has some of the best lines when it comes to horror cinema of all time, period. Sometimes you question his moral. It's interesting because as the movie goes on, his moral fabric kind of deteriorates, as to where the Devil's Rejects kind of feel like they're the good guys as it goes on longer. And that's what I love about the movie. Like, his character study very much goes opposite direction that you think it would as a protagonist. And he is very much our protagonist, since we follow him on a story of redemption. My number 6, I'll go with Owen from The Way Back.
See that.
So this is a comedy that I'm happy to say I own, and one that I've praised endlessly on my website. I feel like The Way Back is one of the best comedies of the last 10 years. And I feel like, yeah, it's a very good movie. This is played by, oh God, now I'm drawing a blank.
Well, I have no idea.
Edit this out. And anyway, but yeah, so Owen is, he's kind of a laid back character. He's the goofball of the story. And what I love about him, what makes him different, is he's very much a kid in an adult's body, but it doesn't feel like it's ludicrous, or it doesn't feel like it's a Neanderthal, as to where most adults playing kids are, i.e. Robin Williams as Jack or anything like that. He's very much grown up with the times, but he's still very much holds on to the careless attitude that a lot of kids do. The movie's very funny, and Sam Rockwell plays him.
Okay.
And it's Sam Rockwell's best role, and it's one that opened my eyes to him as a start on his way to winning an Oscar.
Okay.
Okay, number 5. God, this is getting tough. I'll I'll go Rob Gordon from High Fidelity. So Rob Gordon's played by John Cusack, who's one of my favorite actors of all time.
Really?
And High Fidelity, yeah.
John Cusack.
Yeah, John Cusack's great. I think he's highly underrated, at least until he went on this whole, we'll do anything like Bruce Willis has been doing over the last 10 years. What's great about Rob Gordon is he feels very enriched in humanity. So for me, he's not a character that's fully redeemable. He makes some questionable moves. He cheats on his girlfriend. He's kind of a piece of shit, but he acknowledges that at certain times. And I think there's something very beautiful about that, something candid about that, almost poetic. And this character has been done by two different actors, an actor and an actress. Zoe Kravitz played him last year in the TV adaptation of High Fidelity on Amazon Prime. It is just as good as the movie, and I don't say that often. The film is arguably one of my top 5 favorite comedies of all time, High Fidelity, and I recommend it to anyone.
Cool.
Fucking hard to follow that up.
Sorry.
Jesus.
So just as a quick little thing, I was listening to Bo's podcast when they started this, and he's like, yeah, I knew Jesse from like back in the day at the theater, and I asked him what his favorite movies would be. And of course he chose like all these fucking serious movies because he's like a movie buff. And now Chris is over here like, High Fidelity. Here's this other movie that none of you have ever seen, but this is another one that they're all fantastic. I was like, dude, you have no idea. They're picking people like Bobby Boucher. Like
my characters are stupid too. Like it gets really dumb.
But yeah, it was just funny. I was like, you guys have no idea.
But I try to paint why I picked them too.
Yeah,
so.
no.
Again, mine are in no order of 1 through 5, so I'll just read them off.
Ryan's crossing Bobby Boucher off his list.
Let me come up with a bench really quick. I'll go with my first one is Daniel Day-Lewis, Bill Cuddy, Gangs of New York.
Oh yes.
Okay, Ryan.
Yes.
I love his character in that movie. I mean, I love my characters that come from movies I love. I think the movie in itself is fantastic. I love the darkness of his character in that movie. I'm not going to give you a full movie review like Chris because I'm just not good with words like that. But
fuck me, right?
That's one of my 5. Is Gangs of New York.
You can't go wrong with Daniel Day-Lewis.
Great pick. Yeah. You think his best role?
I would say probably pretty close to it. Absolutely.
What a career, man.
Jesse, number 4.
My number 4 is the great Hannibal Lecter. Silence of the Lambs.
I debated.
Anthony Hopkins.
I debated this.
He was close to my list.
He only had like 13 minutes of screen time in that movie, and he won Best Actor.
What an impact.
Or Best Supporting Actor.
Stole it.
He is terrifying. He's smart. He's intelligent. Just the rants that he goes on and everything. That character is perfect. Like, you know what you look like to me? You look like a rube. Dressed in your plaid or whatever the fuck he said. I don't even fucking remember it all, but it's just like chilling.
And in a sense, seductive because we're seeing him the way Clarice is seeing.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't actually say hello, Clarice. That's a Mandela effect.
I've heard that. Yeah. And I swear to God.
What does he say? Good evening?
Yeah, something like that.
Good evening,
he never
buddies.
says hello, Clarice. It does not happen.
And that's a big one too.
Yeah, that is true. Have lambs stopped screaming?
Now, is the first one's the best one to you, obviously, right?
First one's the best one. I've seen all of them. Second one's not bad. It's just not the same without what's her name? Jodie Foster.
Yeah.
It's just
Julianne Moore is no substitute for Julie.
God, no. And they made her like an action star. I don't need her to be an action star. She was like a fucking nobody. Yeah. She just happened to fall into it and had a relationship with him. That was the whole point. I don't need her to go out there guns blazing in the middle of a fucking favela or whatever the hell that movie started off with. The show is fantastic as well with what's his name?
Oh, Hannibal. Oh, you're talking Mads Mikkelsen.
Yes.
Yeah, my boy.
One of the greatest endings to a show ever. It was perfect. It is the best ending to a show ever.
And it didn't air on network TV.
It was so good.
Like they cut the show off 3 episodes before. So those last 3 episodes have only been seen on Netflix.
It is perfection. If you haven't seen it, you should go see it. It's just a reiteration of all of the movies, just put into order in a TV show scenario. It's done perfectly and it ends perfectly.
It's just called Hannibal?
It's just called Hannibal. It's fantastic.
And food porn.
Christopher, number 4.
Number 4 to me, I'm going to go with Randy the Ram from The Wrestler.
Ooh.
So aside from the character, the obviousness of the character tying so close to me and the fact that he was an independent pro wrestler in the same way that I was for 10 years, Randy the Ram wears a lot of heart and humanity also on his sleeve. What I love about the character is, again, he's an irredeemable protagonist, and you'll find that's kind of a constant theme on my list here. So he's addicted to the one thing that he loves, the one thing that's been solid to him, and that's wrestling over family, over friends, over romance, everything in his life. He has chosen the wrestling business, so much so that it has been debated at the end of the film that it kills him. And what I love is Mickey Rourke. Not only is it his best role and one that I feel he deserved the Oscar for that year, in a very weak Oscar year, it's also one that he took the time, he got his hands dirty, he did all his stunts for it too. And I feel like that also goes into a performance too, the physicality of every role. And you'll see that on another one of my picks as we go on.
I think what I'm going to start doing is like once a month, I'm going to ask you for a movie and I'm just going to go buy it. No questions asked.
You could probably just rent it from me.
And I want to buy them because if you say it's good, I usually trust you, and it usually ends up being that we have the same opinion.
The Wrestler, and I'm not saying this just for my ties to it, it's a 10 out of 10 for me.
You never seen that?
I've never seen it.
Oh, The Wrestler's fantastic.
I don't think so.
It made me cry the first time I watched it. Yeah.
A movie Chris cried in?
Yeah.
I was going to say that's the one.
That's saying a lot.
Yeah.
It's a good movie though.
Yeah, it really does showcase the business, and it's chilling for sure.
Okay.
It's a fantastic pick. I'm going to go with Johnny Depp, Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah.
Great movie. One thing about Johnny Depp is the way he portrays his characters. You know, he gets very in depth and involved with the people he plays. And what an awkward fucking character that he did so well.
Yeah.
Anything Tim Burton I'm a fan of as well. So, yep.
I have not seen that movie in so long.
So good.
It's such a good movie.
I think he escapes into the role. So like for me, I don't see Johnny Depp when I watch that movie. Like to me, he's almost unrecognizable.
Yeah.
He does so well with that.
Yeah.
What's your guys' favorite Johnny Depp movie?
That's tough. See, on my list was either going to be Edward Scissorhands or I was going to do The Butcher of whatever. I can't think of the name right now.
Yeah,
I'm going to draw a blank, but
Sweeney Todd.
I love him in Sweeney Todd as well. I just like the way he gets into the characters.
Secret Window is my favorite Johnny
Secret
Depp
Window
movie.
is badass.
I love that movie.
I'm going to look through and then I'll answer that here in a second.
Jesse, number 3.
My number 3 is none other than the dude from The Big Lebowski.
I almost put him on my list.
It's just
I almost put him on there.
It's not necessarily, these aren't my favorite movies or the best acted movies or anything like that, but
characters.
He's just the perfect character.
Yeah.
That whole movie, and you could put any of those characters on there. Fucking Donnie, fucking what's his name?
Walter.
Walter's
my favorite.
Walter's fantastic.
Walter Sobchak.
Fucking it's just you need a pinky, dude. You need a toe. I can get you a toe, nail polish and everything. By the end of the day, like that whole movie is just perfect. The characters are great, but the dude I think is just perfect. Even the narrator, fucking what's his name?
Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott.
Yeah.
Yes. Steph's like a huge Sam Elliott fan. She's always said that's her like celebrity grandpa. Everything that he's in, she watches.
Yeah.
She doesn't like find him sexy, like because a lot of women I know find him sexy.
Old Sam Elliott, she finds sexy.
Okay.
Like Roadhouse. She thinks he's sexy and
I like
like
Tombstone.
Yeah.
Oh fuck yeah! Damn it! I gotta change my list. Shit. Shit.
Tombstone. Doc Holliday.
I hate this fucking question.
That's hard.
But yeah,
man.
Big Lebowski, man, just him sitting there like rug really tied the room together, man. Like the lines and everything are just so
I peed on your fucking rug.
yeah, just everything about him in that movie is just so perfect. Like
jeez.
Fucking fascists.
Christopher, number 3.
By the way, Black Mass is my favorite Johnny Depp movie.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'm making the switch then. So my number 3 is Doc Holliday, played by Val Kilmer.
Yes.
I was going to choose Detective Somerset from 7, but I'm going to go with that instead.
I love it.
So a supporting role, Doc Holliday steals this movie, and he doesn't just steal it like nuance. He steals it like
incredible.
It's evidence this has become his movie about 20 minutes into the film. You care more about his character. The way Val Kilmer, his psychology against his opposition, specifically Michael Biehn, that scene where he's talking about, I'm your Huckleberry. They're out in the street and they're getting ready to, guns blaze and all that. And this guy who is in his prime, mind you, wants nothing to do with Doc Holliday. Not only is it faithful toward the character, as I learned on the tour of the actual Tombstone, but Val immersed himself also. I think he said he read over 10 books when it came to the role about Doc Holliday. So yeah, and You know, the makeup's great in it. Everything's solid. Like that third act where he kind of gets sick and turns weak. You know, you really feel like he's pushing for Oscar gold, but it feels subtle. And I love that. Damn, you really changed my opinion on that one. Yeah, I got to go with him.
It's such a good fucking movie.
I got to watch it every time it's on. Even if it's edited, I got to watch it.
Yep. My number 3, Chris will, I think, very much appreciate, and that's Red, Morgan Freeman from Shawshank Redemption.
Fuck.
It's on your list. Well, you can put your other one back on there.
Get busy living or get busy dying.
I love his character in that movie. Just a great story. Morgan Freeman, again, just fantastic actor. His voice, the way he just leads that movie, definitely one of my top favorite movies in general. And then his character is fantastic. So,
and the movie, we follow Andy Dufresne as the protagonist, but it's very much about Morgan Freeman's character too, because his character arc is that he doesn't believe in hope. He doesn't believe in all of that, but Andy Dufresne kind of changes that.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah, that's one movie I've seen a bunch of times, but I haven't watched it in probably like 5 years. I need to go back and watch it.
Oh, I learn something new every time I watch it. And I know everything about that fucking movie.
Yeah, especially since I just was freed from Facebook jail for a long time.
Did you climb through 500 yards of steam?
Goddamn right I did. And I came out clean on the other side.
Number 2.
My number 2 is a bad guy. It is Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men.
Great pick.
Good pick.
That guy is the most menacing presence that I've ever seen on a film. The scene with the first scene where he kills the man with the cattle prod on the road just is like shocking. But then the scene after knowing that, where he goes to the old man in the gas station.
You're gonna call it. You've
got to call it.
That's Sean Connery.
It's
I need to know what I'm stand to win. Everything. You stand to win everything.
Don't put it in your pocket.
Then it just becomes a coin. It's so good. He's terrifying. He's fucking deadly. He's ruthless. Like
Javier Bardem, by the way.
He fucking
sound like you guys. You both sound like Sean Connery.
Hello, I'm James Bond.
Welcome to ITT Check.
Shaken, not stirred.
Skills of today with the technology of tomorrow.
That's my number 2.
All right, Chris, number 2.
My number 2 is, since Ryan went with Red, I'll play the Andy Dufresne role then. Andy Dufresne very much represents hope in the Shawshank Redemption. More than a character, he's a metaphor throughout it all. And what I find rewarding about his arc as a whole is that he goes to hell quite literally, and he comes out on the other side clean, as my man Jesse over here said. It's easily Tim Robbins' best role, and it's one that I feel he was dramatically undercredited for when it comes to Oscar recognition. He wasn't even nominated after that year.
He wasn't nominated.
The movie was, Morgan Freeman was, he was not.
Wow.
So yeah.
Ryan.
My number 2 is no other than Thomas Hanks in Forrest Gump.
Ooh, all right.
Not much to say about Forrest Gump. It's a fantastic movie, great character.
He got best actor for that, didn't he?
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah, and the movie won best film over.
Oh, I know this. What year was that?
94.
Fuck.
Armageddon?
Nope.
No.
I have no idea.
God damn it.
Christopher?
Lion King. I know Lion King was one of them.
It was nominated, but there's something more dramatic in here too.
Fuck. I don't know. Tell me.
Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, wow.
Damn, that's not that old.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that was 94.
Yeah, I love Tom Hanks, and there's just something about that movie. It's one of those movies I can always watch. It never gets old. I love his character. He's got many taglines you can say from him that just carry on and have meaning and stuff to today. So that is my number 2.
And he drank 6 Dr. Peppers.
And that's my favorite drink. I mean, we were just meant to be together.
Yeah.
Jesse Unk, your number 1 favorite character of all time is...
To preface this list was very difficult to make.
God, yeah.
And it was hard for me to put them in order, but I had zero doubt about my number 1. This is my all-time favorite movie character. Every time this movie comes on, I have to watch it. I think that it's a perfect portrayal of the character. I think it's a perfect acting job. And that is Colonel Hans Landa from Inglourious Basterds.
Yeah.
So good.
That opening scene, dude. Oh, perfection.
I think that is the number 1 best opening scene to a movie in all of movie history.
I could see it.
The scene where Shoshana meets him for the first time afterwards when she's with the what's his name? I can't think of his name.
Oh, fuck.
The German guy that's hitting on her, and they're eating the strudel, and he's just like, wait for the cream. Like, it's just anytime he's on screen, you don't know what he knows. He's super intelligent. Does he know what's going on? Does he not know what's going on? Is he playing them? The whole time, he's perfect in everything that he does. Even at the end, whenever he finally is just like, okay, I'm going to turn over all these people to you. And he's on the phone with them, and he's like, I want your history books to say that I've always been part of this. Like, the dude's just got a plan at all times. He's self-preserving. He's terrifying. He's intelligent. He's written perfectly. And he's just a perfect actor on top of it. So
he undercuts every character that he comes into contact with, like psychologically.
Yeah.
Yes.
He wears them down.
That's a fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really good.
Let it ring from your voice.
He's good.
Gorlami.
Is that your favorite Tarantino film?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's really hard. I love Tarantino, but it's definitely one or two.
It's the one I watch the most often.
Really?
It's the one I watch the most often too. And surprisingly, the screenplay is still even just a little bit better.
Really?
Yeah.
So they don't follow it all the way to a T.
There's just little details in it that are given to you that you don't have in the story. Like, what's his name? Brad Pitt's character.
Oh God.
Lieutenant Aldo Rain.
Yeah.
He has that mark on his neck, and it's never clear what that is. You don't know if his throat was slit, if he was hung, like whatever. In the screenplay, you find out that he was part Cherokee. And so or part some Native American, I believe it was Cherokee, but he was hung because of that, based off of racism, and he survived. It's a rope burn. And that's why he is the only non-Jewish member, because he fights against racism, because he knows what that feels like. And that is why he is the head of the
kind of a big
Jewish group.
fucking deal to have in the movie.
It's in the script, but it is written in the fact that says he is a former part Cherokee native with a rope burn on his neck. This will never be mentioned in the film.
It makes a huge difference in his backstory.
He didn't want you to know. Tarantino didn't want you to know.
Fucking Tarantino.
Even in passing a conversation or something, like just something like an afterthought.
That it's literally written in there. This will never be mentioned during the film.
That's weird. I wonder why. I'd like to know why.
Probably just because he likes the speculation. He likes all the other shit. Tarantino's a master.
Draw attention to it. Like if it's there and you can see it, people want to go, well, how did he get it? That's the next question.
If Tarantino doesn't want you to know, you don't get to fucking know.
But we know.
That's true.
Wow.
Christopher,
that's awesome.
Number one.
So after all of the legendary and iconic characters that I mentioned, it's funny that this comes down to this number one, but
Buzz Lightyear,
this
Toy
is
Story.
very much the character, the reason why I am such a horror hound. Growing up, I found this character to be not only an unstoppable force. I wrote a 1,400 word paper on why he is the only horror character who cannot be killed.
Oh,
that is Jason Voorhees.
Jason. Yep.
So, no offense.
I should have known.
So Jason Voorhees is very much the contemporary embodiment of Frankenstein, in that he's a creation by us, the people. You know, we are very much responsible for his suffering and his death ultimately, which brought him back, you know, and now he's venging that death. He's venging his mother, which is something that I'm very close to too. My mother is not only the biggest person in my life, but the one person that I would die to protect. So I always grew very close to that kind of outline of a character. What's so unique about his character is that he never talks, but you feel like you learn so much in his movements. You can feel when he feels pain. You can feel when he feels sadness, even in one movie. I'm a huge Jason fan. If you know my wardrobe, everything in my room, I have tons of collectibles, even a machete signed by the second ever Jason in my room. I've watched all the movies hundreds of times. Yeah, Jason Voorhees is the best.
Nice.
Chris gives that fantastic fucking depiction of why it's such a great character. And then I'm going to leave you with Rocky Balboa from Rocky.
I thought about it.
I love Rocky.
I thought about it.
I love his story. I love the determination of who he is. I think Sylvester Stallone plays that role very well. I think there's something about Sylvester Stallone that he's kind of slow and stupid, and it works really well with that character.
Yeah, it does.
I fucking love Rocky. I love that character. An honorable mention, and I didn't pick him because it's based off a real person, so I didn't know if it mattered as much as Jordan Belfort. I fucking love Jordan Belfort. I love Leo playing that role. Wolf of Wall Street is probably in my top 3 favorite movies of all time.
Do we discredit it because it's real life?
I don't know. Like, only reason I didn't put it on the list is because it's to some extent based off of a real person.
Mhm.
I know obviously he ran with that character, and a lot of that's probably not as true as we would like it to be.
Mhm.
But I fucking love that character. I love that role. I love the I don't give a fuck.
Mhm.
But yeah, those are
Yeah.
them.
I think when time,
He's throwing the fucking lobsters at him.
Dude.
There's another fucking month's paycheck.
Yeah.
Broke motherfuckers.
I think when it's all said and done, that's going to be your favorite movie eventually.
It probably will be.
Yeah.
I mean, I love it. I never
What's your favorite movie right now?
Sandlot.
It's hard. They kind of just bounce around. Like, I just have favorite
Back to the
movies,
Future.
but I can't put one as like a favorite. It's just, I don't know, it's too hard. I love Jurassic Park. I'll watch that fucking movie every day. I watch The Sandlot all of the time. I put on Sandlot and it makes me feel good. Like, I put on Sandlot and I watch the scene where they're all playing at night and they're talking about playing under the lights and the fireworks are going off. And
It's
it
such a
makes
good
me
scene.
immediately
Beautiful.
feel reminiscent of summer and playing in the cul-de-sac as a kid. Like,
You can smell it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I watch those movies and I immediately just feel good, and I can always watch them and it's never a problem. Like, I can't pick a number one, but
I've wavered on my Aladdin pick over the past couple of years.
yeah.
Because I love Aladdin, but that is the one that I watched the least out of the 5. And it's like Inglourious Bastards is
So
always
good.
in my 5. It's so good.
Maybe yours will change as time goes on.
Yep.
Like the scene with the bear Jew when he goes out and he's like, get that for killing Jews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bravery. It's so good.
I just love the flamethrower, man.
Do you ever waver off of Shawshank?
I'm trying to remember. So when that was established as my favorite movie, I think it was around high school. Like, I think it was like I was a junior or senior, and I was like, that's it, dude. Like, and it wasn't the first time I watched it. It was like, it took about 10 watches. I think I watched it for like a week straight.
Dude, it was at the top of my list at one point, and it's still up there. But we're like the same age, and it was same age, our same school time. Probably 10th, 11th grade. I would watch that movie every single day.
Yeah.
Me and my girlfriend, we would hang out after school. We just put on fucking Shawshank Redemption. I watched it all of the time. It's just such a good story. It is such a good movie. I mean, it's up there.
It's about
definitely up there.
It's about hope and what can be more important to humanity.
Yep.
You know?
Good stuff. Good. That was a good question. That makes you really think. I think we all had really good ones. I really like Inglourious Bastards. That's a really good.
I love that movie.
I had to change a couple of my fucking answers because of you.
It's hard. Like, it's hard. I try to think about people I enjoyed and like had fun with, but I mean, some of those were really fucking good, man. I think that's a show. This was a long one. We've been doing some shorter ones. This was a long one this week, guys. Appreciate y'all tuning in and everything, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. That is Made to Motivate Podcast. Make sure you tune into the show every week. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell on YouTube so you know when the new videos launch. And check out our pages individually if you can. We appreciate the support. At Jesse Unk SI on Twitter. Chris the Film Freak Kessinger. Check out the Film Freak Review page on Facebook. And I am Ryan Weiss. You can check out rockeverywhereinc.etsy.com to follow my art and apparel page. We appreciate the support. And, of course, at Made to Motivate Podcast on all social media sites. Thanks again, and we'll check you next week.